Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this, the 78th reply to comments video. How are you all doing? Yes, this is the video in which I get to reply to your comments. It's sort of self-explanatory. It says reply to comments 78. The last one was 77. I can't believe I've done so many of these. Now, the reason I make these videos is because I get a lot of comments on my channel because I'm a popular channel. You know, you guys like what I do, lots of viewers. And some of the comments are very interesting. They're very well thought out. And some of them ask me questions. And I feel obliged to reply. Or at least acknowledge in some way that you've taken the time out to not only watch my video, but comment on it. Because I'm grateful for that. I really am. But I don't have time because of the popularity of my channel, the fact that I get so many of these kinds of comments. So I make these comments reply videos instead. So it's quicker. Now, that's one of the reasons I do it. Now, some of you might think to yourself, well, hang on a minute, Ben, what's the point of that? It's a 9-hour video just replying to a comment. I only posted one comment. I only want to reply to that. I'm not going to watch a 9-hour video to get a reply to one comment. Well, you don't have to. You don't have to watch a 9-hour video, you just have to watch 1 hour, because every time I reply to a comment, I put in a little timestamp underneath as a reply. It says, thank you for this comment. It will be answered approximately within, I'll give you to within the nearest hour that I'll be replying to your comment. That's how it works. Now, and also, so you only have to watch the maximum of 1 hour. That's all right, 1 hour. That's not too much to ask, I don't think. Also, my comments reply videos are not 9 hours any longer. Not anymore. They used to be because I used to do them every 2 months or so. Now I try to do them every 2 to 3 weeks. So they're much shorter. They usually don't go over 3 hours. So now another reason I do these comments reply videos is because I enjoy doing them. They're some of the best videos I've ever done, and indeed, you, the viewers, enjoy doing them too. And I know some of you watch them all the way through, comments or no comments. So that's why I do them. So with no further ado, let's go back to when the last comments reply video was. Now, yeah, where was it? Here we go. Right. Reply to comment 77. Gary Robinson. Evening, Ben, mate. Evening, Gary. How are you? Oh, I forgot to start the timer. I better do that now. There we go. It's not going to make much difference. I'm only like, only just 3 minutes in. It won't make much difference. Hi, Gary. Nice to see you, Gary. Thanks very much. Now we've got balloons. Hello, balloons. On reply to comment 77. Ben, you're a real Viking man of action. A man of action. This is very unique in this social medium. I've noticed a lot of people here love to hate on you. Oh God, so have I, balloons. Yes, I can guarantee most of it is bitterness and envy, and not really about you, but about themselves. Regardless, you always treat them better than they deserve. I could go on. Keep being awesome. Oh, thank you very much, balloons. You know, I know people hate on me a lot. You know, but as long as there's people like you who love on me, it doesn't bother me. You know, you guys make up for it. You really do. And Crafty Nihilist said, agreed, they're so boring now. Boring, sad and pathetic. I know. Well, this is why, you know, I mean, I suppose I am more, I cut them more slack than most people do. But it's just, I only really block them when they get really abusive. I'm happy to, I mean, to be honest, if they're sort of like within reason of rudeness towards me and they're not having to go at someone else, it's actually quite productive to take them down, to reply to them and respond to them, because I can discredit them, and that can be educational for you, the viewers. Agree. So thanks, Crafty. Thanks very much, Crafty Nice. BZ Bart Garson says, pray tell, what is it that we should be envious about Ben? Well, where do I begin, BZ? There's charm, good looks, intelligence, sophistication, and on top of all that, modesty. Wobbly Willy... What's this? Wobbly Willy Willikers. Wobbly Willy Willikers says, you fools! Once that door is open, it can't be closed. You are inviting death, destruction, devastation, and the end of humanity. They live inside your mind, eat your brains until there's nothing left of you. It will look like you, sound like you, but it won't be you. Turn back now. You've been watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Good. Either that or BBC Question Time. Anyway, that comment doesn't make any sense. Reply to comment 77. Highway Star, hello, says, I knew a new reply video was due. I will binge on this later. Thanks, Ben. You're welcome, Highway Star. You're welcome. Hope you can binge on this one now, because this is the new one. Charles Scott, reply to comment 77, Charles Scott. Charles, this had better be original. I've again looked at your reply to my email with you saying you've seen my comment. Oh, bloody hell. Okay. No, I'm not going to repeat myself, Charles. I'm not going to repeat myself. Okay. Reply to comment 77. Davis Blended Isolation. YouTube has changed its policy now, allowing criticism and doubt about the integrity of the you-know-what result, the thing in 2020. David, oh my God, is that why they got rid of those two videos, didn't they? Because remember, I made the video explaining how I got a channel strike. I'm on one strike at the moment, and they deleted the video. Then they deleted a slightly older video and didn't strike me about the you-know-what in 2020. Those bastards, they wanted to get that in before they changed the policy. Oh, I'm going to say, I've had another run-in with YouTube. I'll be saying more about that later. You probably already know if you've seen my community notice. I'll be saying more about that later. But those scumbags, absolute scumbags. Anyway, reply to comment 77, Gary Robertson. Ben, mate, it's actually street art that you're into. Graffiti is indeed just swear words and scribbles, etc. Cheers. Well, I suppose maybe I should call it that. Maybe I should just call it street art. Yeah, it's probably more respectful. They call themselves, they just called there's several different artists. There's the MEC crew, MES crew, and probably others. I used to call it nonconformist folk art. A folk art is another good term, I think. Woody Black says on reply to comment 77, clear frames might look good, like the one Sam Cedar on Majority Report wears. Oh, who's that guy? I think I know who you mean. Oh, hang on. Let's just see what you mean. Majority Report. Majority Report with Sam Cedar, YouTube. Here we go. I think I've seen. This sounds familiar. Yeah. Oh, yes. I know who this is. It's this guy here.
Hi. Sam Cedar here, and I was just cleaning off our 2012 Podcast Award for Best News in Politics. This is the Majority...
What do you reckon? Do you think he's...
Majority Report, a YouTube channel. We do a 90-minute daily talk show about politics.
They're not much different to mine, really.
We're sometimes funny, arguably. Always thoughtful.
Well, I'll subscribe to him. No, I've seen it. I remember him being quite good. I remember him being quite good. But I don't know. They're not that much different. They're slightly smaller and sort of straighter than mine. But apart from that, they're pretty similar. Oh, right. And where are we now? Crafty Nihilist says on reply to comment 77. It's so nice to listen to a comment reply video with less and less trolls, Ben. Please keep being strict with it. They were getting unlistenable, and they were obviously using your platform to promote their own. A game of tennis stops if someone stops hitting the ball back. All right, Crafty. Yeah, you know, I do take them out when they cross a line. You know that. I mean, I'm not bothered if they start like making claims, and I can take down those claims. It's educational for the viewers. I know you find it. I know a lot of people find it, and probably more annoying than I do. To be honest, I think I've got an extra thick skin because of the Droid situation. But as you see, I have deleted a couple lately, and I will continue to do so. And I'm not afraid to do that if necessary. A Black Circle says here, one thing I've come to learn is that the trolls are not here for discourse or to learn anything new, even when you present them with information. They don't care other than disrupting your channel, so ban and ignore them. Nothing wrong with disparagement, but you can tell right away who's open for discussion and who's come to troll. I quite agree, Black Circle. You know, there are those like that. When I reply to them, you know, I'm not actually replying to the troll, I'm replying to you, the viewers. I'm actually sometimes they say things that are so ridiculous that I can actually exploit that to promote a little bit of sense. So in a sense, I'm using the trolls. Their presence here is actually useful to me. But of course, when they go too far, I get rid of them. You know that And when I, for example, when I realised that Max Q was Droik, I mean, it didn't take long for them. They're not very good actors, the droids. I did actually. I did actually get rid of them. Crafty says to Black Circle, agreed, my channel, my rules. And Jam Noise says, 100% agreed. This was so much better, and like the old days. Yeah, thanks, Soul Sister. I won't let the trolls come in. I won't. Reply to comment 77. Jam Noise 72, how are you? This was wonderful, bro. So nice to see you not getting upset and frustrated for once. Love to all, even the trolls, lol. Love to you too. It's so nice to see you actually with your daughter. That's lovely to see you reunited with your daughter. That's lovely. Jam Noise. Where's Hugo? I hope he's okay. Well, he has commented a couple of times. He was actually in the live stream the other day. He sounded okay. Yeah. But I mean, I hope he's okay. Obviously, Thomas L says on reply to comment 77. How the fuck is this OLM conversation still occurring? Move on, Charles. I know, Thomas. Move on. And then Charles replies to here. I'm not even gonna read what he's saying here. Wobbly Willy Willikers says, why this obsession with European salamanders? I don't get it. What European salamander? Oh, an olm. Right? Yeah. An olm is like it's a kind of creature. Yeah. It's actually Outer Limits magazine. Wobbly. Should I call you Wobbly or Willy? Wobbly Willy Willikers. That's a good name. I'll call you www.www.wobblywillywillikers.com. It's Outer Limits magazine. Yeah, Charles is obsessed with that, and after over a year, he's still going on about it. So I'm as who was it who said the crafty nihilist or whoever it was said back here. Yeah, stop hitting the ball back. Well, I don't with Charles, as you know now. Well, I will talk to him if he talks about something new, but I'm not going to talk about this subject with him anymore. I'm just tired of it. New UFO Insider live stream. Yeah, this dropped, actually. This news dropped while I was recording the last comments reply video. Steve Mumbling says, Mr. Grush says, while he hasn't seen the vehicles himself, he knew of other intelligence officials who had, unquote. These people are going to be the usual suspects who keep stringing along Gary Nolan and anyone else who will listen. The Bigelow, TTSA, and A-tip, guys. Zero credibility. Well, as you know, I mean, I think events have proven you wrong, Steve. I've explained it. In fact, I explained in more recent videos, and indeed Ross Coulthart and others have explained. He can't just deal classified documents and photographs and things like that out on a table like playing cards. He can't walk in with a alien space laser gun in his hand. Okay, he can't do that. There's a process involved. He is the first stage of a process. He is the herald. he's out there now, and everyone's watching how we respond. David Smith said underneath, Steve, did you know it's impossible for an ex-government military worker to lie or become a little mentally unstable? Oh, yeah, David Smith is being his usual sarcastic self. It can't happen. If they were certified to look after nukes or hold a gun, then how could they possibly go on to say something untrue or make unfounded claims they may or may not genuinely believe, but not actually real? Can't explain it, can you, Steve? Bloody skeptics. As always, David, you reveal a lot of your ignorance in your sarcasm. This subject actually came up in the interview with Coulthart. Have you ever been diagnosed with any mental illness? He says no. He's only been out of government service a few months. I mean, they monitor you very closely in that situation. So you've got to ask yourself. I mean, if he was going to commit professional suicide, there are cheaper and easier ways to do it. You don't have to hire big lawyers and make up stories about aliens. Say also, if he was a disgruntled employee, there's other ways to discredit the government. You can accuse them of war crimes. I mean, as I said, that's the most popular one. Is I saw him go in there and shoot everyone. Everyone in this little village, and these defenseless little children running around, and he was gunning them down like turkeys. That kind of thing, That's the most common way, false war crimes accusations. There's all kinds of other ways you can do it without making up stories about aliens, it's debatable whether that's even discrediting them. And Neil Peel, the Paranormal Peep Show, says, camouflage on planes are technically lies, hiding the plane from the enemy. Yes, they used to have dummy blow-up tanks in the Second World War, so again, a kind of lie. The British military also stitched up the medium Helen Duncan with lies. Correct! Correct, Neil. They actually used inflatable tank models in the Gulf War as well. Also, in the Falklands War, there was fake bomb damage done in, I think it was the air base in Port Stanley. The Argentines they dug holes to pretend pretend these were bomb craters. Steve Mumling says, "Oh, I can't see these replies." Now, I don't know why that is. Steve, I've just been to the. Don't you dare accuse me of deleting anything. I've just been to the spam folder and released everything, so I don't know why that is. David Smith says to Steve Mumbling, YouTube, New World Order, shadow ban me every time I speak about their latest psyop. Me too, David. Ben W says, I can't either, Steve. Neil Peel says to Ben, click the newest comments or most recent comments. That often shows up unseen stuff. Thanks, Neil. Steve says to Neil, I have tried that. If you can see them, could you copy and paste them here? Neil says, depends on what replies I am meant to be seeing. I don't know why that happens. I really don't. I honestly don't know why that happens. It's annoying. It's very annoying. We have a new UFO Insider live stream. Mogs68. Keep going strong, mate. Wales68. Yeah. Cymru and peace. Yeah. And we were singing hymns and arias, land of my fathers, Cymru and peace. Yeah. Welsh Ripper. Hey, well, I know Welsh Ripper. He's another taffy. Glamorgan is mine, okay, kin of my blood. Yes, indeed. Morg says, come back to Wales, bud. Oh, I'll be back there as soon as Sufon invite me, really. Or I'll go back. I might go back and do something else for the Penturk incident. Mog says, Nazi UFOs, man-made. Well, you know about I don't know if you've read books by Igor Witkowski or by Joseph Farrell and about what was discovered at the end of the war in those underground bases in Poland and places like that. The Bell, the Beehive, anti-gravity spacecraft they were. Yeah. No, and so these are all on new UFO Insider livestream. Mog68, British Forces UFOs. As I said, that'll be referring to essentially the secret space program. If that were the case, then there's two problems with that. Firstly, their behaviour, and secondly, their antiquity. Their behaviour. Why, for example, if the Tic Tacs were an experimental American aircraft coming out of Area 51, why would they fly them near the Nimitz battle group and interfere with the US Navy operations? That's how people get killed in exercises, let alone war. Secondly, they go back a long way. I mean, there's some very, very convincing reports from World War II and even earlier to the Swedish Air Corps and what they did in 1930 when they tried to intercept the Ghost rockets, which were very similar to Tic Tacs in terms of their description. Excuse me. If these are secret anti-gravity space planes, or what does this Dr. Stephen Greer calls them? AEPD, Alternative Energy Propulsion Device. All right, if that's what they were, presumably they've been around a long time. I'd assume they were invented after piston engine aeroplanes. So I don't think it is British Forces UFOs. Mick Ramo says, new UFO Insider live stream. I'm 70 and I've never seen a UFO. Well, yeah, some people don't, Mick. Don't let that bother you. You know, and you may be 70, but you're not dead. Not yet. You might see one. Mog68. Welsh UFOs. Oh, there's no shortage of them, Mogs. Look at Penturk. Look at the Berwyn Mountains incident. Yeah, there was the Aberystwyth one as well. That actually was an aeroplane. That was actually a secret aeroplane. Mark Ollie investigated that. Same video, Wayne RS4. Hello, Wayne. How you doing? Ben, is there any Rendlesham Forest meets and events this year? I keep missing them as I'm not in the know. And any update on the film we're waiting to see? Right, the film Capel Green. I know this has been a bit of an obstacle because basically the film, the director and editor wants to get it just perfect. He wants to get it right, and he's a professional filmmaker rather than someone from the UFO fraternity. So, his desire to make a good movie has brought him into conflict with people within the UFO fraternity. But it is this obstacle will not last forever. This slowdown, this jam won't last forever. It is coming out. It is an active project. I know people on the inside. As for yes, there is a Rendlesham Forest event this year, Wayne. Let me just find it for you. Right, it's organised by UFO Truth magazine, which is one that I actually write. I've actually written for it. I actually write for this magazine. And it's this, not the non. Here we go. Let me just show you. The non-human, the Rendlesham Forest guided tour with Gary Heseltine. Right. And it's sold out. Sorry, guys, it's sold out. Yeah. That's actually going to be in August. Yeah. It's 2 days. Both days are sold out. So yeah, sorry about that. But I'll keep you posted about any others. All right, I'll keep you posted about any others that I'm aware of, Wayne. I mean, you can always just Google Rendlesham Forest. Oh, there's always the annual meeting in the village hall in Woodbridge. That's usually around Christmas time, but there may be one earlier in the year. I don't know. But keep your eye out for things. Same video, Jack Parker, another base hit. Oh, I think it's more like a home run, I think they call them in baseball. I know you're American. Same video. Jack Parker says, I like the way he's swinging it, bat, but he could have got a little more distance out of that. We will see it could be an in-the-park home run. Oh, a home run, there you go. Looks like he's still scooting around those bases. That's right, mate. You keep up with the baseball analogy. I used to play rounders when I was a kid, which is very similar to baseball. To put it that way, this is a game. If you want to compare it to a sport, you could say that this is like the UFOs are now 1-0 up, but the final whistle hasn't gone yet. We don't know what's going to happen. I think we've made progress, huge progress, in the last 2 weeks or so. What will happen in the future, I don't know. All I know is that for now there seems to be a moment of pause. There's been no updates for a couple of days. That's good. To be honest, I've got a little bit of grush fatigue. Yes, I'm a bit grushed up. I've been so obsessed with this subject now for over a week. I need to take time out. In fact, I did. I actually I did some things on her HPANWO voice. I'll just show you actually. I did some things on her HPANWO voice to sort of like break, just sort of like. So I wrote this article. I wrote this review of this film, Life with Ghosts, and then I advertised my upcoming appearance in East Anglia UFO Group, which is in October, 16th of October. Be there, and I wrote a Substack article. Yeah, I can't post this one on Blogger, and it's this one here. A review of Mariana in Conspiracy Land. Yeah, I had to put it on her HPANWO Free, which is my Substack blog, because. Even Blogger now they've started deleting things for the usual reasons, the usual excuses. Alright guys, so what's next? Alright, Steve Mumbling says on new UFO Insider live stream, those ETs must be the worst drivers in the galaxy. ET isn't going to come here and crash, even if they did, they wouldn't leave technological and biological material here for us to study. He also says the evidence is being withheld from the organisation the US government set up to investigate the subject. Absolute rubbish. He's another Bob Lazar. At least he admits that he's not seen any of this evidence personally. He has no first-hand experience with ET material. He chooses to believe what others have told him. It's the same old science fiction script we've heard from others for years. There's nothing new here. Steve, right. Firstly, you make an assumption about ETs and why these craft appear on the Earth. Well, do they crash? Etc. Well, firstly, no technology is perfect. Secondly, maybe they do it intentionally. Maybe they leave us these things intentionally. I mean, he did say that some of the, and I heard this from other witnesses, some of the objects that come down are obviously vehicles of some kind, but they don't appear to be damaged. They appear to have just been parked and just left like an abandoned car. And the aliens just walk away like we would a car. So why they do that, I don't know. You can't anthropomorphize them. You can't just like put yourselves in their shoes, even if they have 2 feet. We don't know what they're thinking until we find a way to understand their motives. Then, all bets are off. He's not another Bob Lazar. Bob Lazar has far less credibility in my view. He's told too many lies about his background, things like that. Excuse me. So there is this. You say there's nothing new here when there is. There have been whistleblowers before, but there's been none that have been half this credible. Reply to comment 77, Charles Scott. Right, what's this? Okay. Again, I've looked at your reply to my email saying, no, forget it, mate, forget it. He wants to go on about shape-shifting reptilians. I've told that, I've been through that. Helen Duncan, a reply to Count Dankula. Oh, I like this one. This is from a couple of months ago, this video. And we have Benjamin W. I say Benjamin because the J is like a capital. That's my name too, but the J is small in my name. Benjamin W says, to be honest, my opinion on Helen is the same as Dankula's, and it hasn't changed after this video. But I really enjoyed watching your response to him. Top bloke, all the best. Oh, thanks, Benjamin. Much appreciated. I'm glad you did. You don't have to agree to enjoy my stuff. You'd be surprised how many skeptics I watched. New UFO Insider livestream, David Smith says, I see David's comment in chat, but one doesn't have to be a pseudo-skeptic to be in a position there is nothing to this right now, because there is, in fact, nothing to this right now. It's just more claims. David, this is just the opening salvo. You've got to be patient, mate. The skeptical position is not to believe in claims, especially claims of this magnitude, without some very strong evidence in support of them. David, I don't necessarily believe him like, oh, this is it, he's telling the truth. Wow, I don't necessarily believe that 100%. I'm pretty sure 90% or so. The theory that makes the most sense here, if we're using Occam's razor, is that he's telling the truth. That is the theory that makes most sense. But I can't prove he's not making the whole thing up. I can't prove he hasn't lost his mind. It's very unlikely, but I can't prove it. I can't prove that's any of these things. I mean, this is the skeptical position, not to believe in the claims without evidence. However, but I think we should hold it provisionally true until, because there's a good chance evidence is going to come. And so I hold it provisionally in that state until, if nothing happens in a year's time, we'll say, well, obviously it was just a storm in a teacup, but maybe it will. You see what I mean? The skeptical position. It seems like people like Shermer, who I talked about in one of the recent videos. In his case, he says, well, I'm not going to, I'm going to actively disbelieve in this. I'm going to reject it totally, because there's no evidence yet. David says, I go back to the Nigerian gold scam. It's precisely how being skeptical keeps us safe from falling for these things. In fact, you have to rid yourself of that same protective skepticism when it comes to certain beliefs. It's a problem with the belief, not with skepticism. Well, no, you see, this is not the Nigerian gold scam. Nobody's sending him any money, this guy. He's not asked for just send us £100 and I'll get you the documents. This sort of thing has happened in ufology. This is not pretty much the Benowitz scam was pretty much like that. Richard Doty and Paul Benowitz. It was very much like that. It's the way he recruited William Moore. Was he said, you just give me this. It wasn't money or gold. It was just, you do favors for me and my people. This aviary spiring, okay. Do favors for me and this people, and we'll make you the Mr. Disclosure. And unfortunately, Moore fell for that scam. He did make a full confession eventually. So it's not exactly the same at all. Charles Scott says on reply to comments 77, this is something new. Just like Lisa from Cry Freedom Radio has left you, I will also leave you. Well, firstly, Lisa and I fell out. It was a mutual decision to leave each other. I will also leave you and cease commenting on your channel before reply to comments 80. Right, Charles. If you're just going to rehash the same old rubbish over and over again, that will be a blessing. It really will, and I'll be really happy if you do that. That's a sad. I don't want that to be the case. I'd rather you stayed and started talking about other people, other situations and people and subjects, because I'd much rather that. If you don't want to do that, though, so be it. The likes of blah-de-blah, unsavoury characters supporting you, blatantly lying, blah-de-blah, Chris Evers. Oh, that's it. No more, Charles. I'm not reading any more. This new UFO Insider live stream, Steve Mumbling says, anyone recall how well Philip Corso was qualified? He was just another bullshitter, wasn't he? What was Bassett and co saying then? This UFO caper seems to attract them like flies. Well, yeah, I mean, Corso obviously was a... Yeah, I don't go along with Corso at all. He was a... Oh, yeah, he was... Well, I don't want to go, but basically his book was a morass of nonsense. It really was, and I don't understand exactly why it was written. Of course, he was a very highly qualified insider, so maybe it was a piece of disinformation. David Smith says underneath to that, I don't care how qualified someone is, it could be country bumpkin. If they have proof or good evidence, that's what's needed to be looked at. Anything else is meaningless for claims of this magnitude. Well, yeah, David, I actually agree with that. I do. And indeed, I'm only excited about David Grush at the moment because of the promise of what will come in the future, I believe. If it doesn't come, it doesn't come, and you'll be, well, so be it. I'm not going to keep believing David Grush if in a year's time, nothing's developed from this and he just goes away. I won't continue to believe him then. So I'm putting this. This is how we put things to the test. And as you know, we in ufology are not afraid to clean house. We'll do it. Steve Mumbling says, precisely. All I ever say is, show me some tangible evidence. If I see that, I would be happy to accept ET is coming here. I find all these science fiction stories irksome. All right, Steve. Well, you may find them irksome, but you can't stop watching them. And to be honest, that's actually fair enough. Tangible evidence, yes, it's fair enough. I think that's what we need. But they're not science fiction stories. These are real. These are real. We have here lab-based on new UFO Insider live stream. Right. Although this new insider/whistleblower statement is an absolute gem of cookie-cutter knowledge, where absolutely everything has been claimed before by others without any direct evidence. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, in a way, it's he, like himself, is a different kind of person to the usual. A lot of others that came forward and actually sometimes talk complete nonsense. But as cookie-cutter knowledge, now there's absolutely no doubt that this seems to fit almost exactly with conspiratorial ufology. What conspiratorial ufologists have been saying. Absolutely, that's absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, so the point is, I think that it does seem suspicious in the sense that it seems almost too good to be true. I mean, that's something I have sort of accepted. There is this kind of like, wow, you could put up every single point made by conspiratorial ufologists for decades, and he's just knocking them, he's just ticking them one after the other. True, 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 true. It just seems a little convenient. But it doesn't mean it's not true. It could be that we were just right all along. I mean, so I know what you mean. I kind of know what you mean in a way. But you carry on here. There is one point that's come up several times that intrigues me, however. Rather than stating alien origin for materials, exotic is used instead. Yeah, that's probably officialdom. I mean, it's like governments and official documents they're almost like lawyers. You have these documents that lawyers bring out. I mean, I've just been reading the court papers from the Richard D. Hall incident, which have been published. It's almost like they have a language of their own where they use certain words in certain ways. It's been compared to magic spells. And government official documents are the same, and I know this because I was in government service myself in a different capacity. I was in healthcare, but I was in, but it's very similar. It is similar to the military intelligence world that David Grush inhabited in many ways. And again, you have like certain words and phrases you have to use. I actually got into trouble sometimes because I did use the wrong words and phrases, and I felt to myself that they were almost the importance they placed on it was so excessive that it baffled me. With analytical techniques as they are, we could certainly determine off-world origin, but this is not stated. Well, it is not stated probably because the word alien, I think, is charged. I think the word, it's for the same reason they don't use the word alien either. Or they don't use the word UFO anymore in officialdom. They say UAP. There's even this AEPD word that Greer uses and things like that. They have different words for it. I mean, there's even words NHI, non-human intelligence. This is not because these things actually come from planet Earth. It's because it's because the term they use to describe their exotic nature is too. Firstly, it might have a lot of cultural baggage, which is why UAP replaced UFO. Secondly, for the same reason, for the same officialdom and the fact that they don't want to give any information they can't. So the word alien they may decide that word contains too much information, things like that. So they use the word exotic instead, even though exotic and alien are practically synonyms. Alien actually doesn't refer necessarily to, the word alien doesn't even refer necessarily to creatures from other worlds. I mean, the word originally was used and still is used to describe people of foreign origin, people from other countries. And it's still used for that in some ways. So there you are. So this is why these words emerge. Language is strange like that, isn't it? Could it be the exotic material is very much of earthly origin, but unexplainable currently? It's possible, but then if it's unexplainable, that in itself would open up a huge can of worms. Because if supposing this came from planet Earth, I mean, we know some of them don't, simply because of, for example, the evidence in terms of the materials, for example, the implants, the isotopic ratios of the material, things like that, which indicates they don't come from Earth. However, if they did, if for example at least some of them did, then that would raise extraordinary questions, which would be, how did a species evolve on this planet alongside us without us knowing for all this time? Where did they come from? What is their common ancestor with us? Do they have a common ancestor with us? Or is this a form of parallel life on Earth that exists, that evolved completely independently from the amoeba? If so, then all biology will have to be reassessed. It's like that, yeah. And then the question will be, well, where's the fossil record of all this? You see what I mean? Lab base continues. Say perhaps like low background steel rather than high background steel. That the radionuclide signature would suggest it has been exposed to lots of background radiation, and as we know, atmospheric attic ceased long ago. Atmospheric attic, what does that mean? Do you mean like nuclear tests, which would be impossible? Been exposed to a lot of, we know atmospheric attic ceased long ago. What is atmospheric attic? I want to make sure I know what's going on here. Atmospheric attic. Atmospheric attic. Roof vents and loft ventilation techniques. Right, okay. Atmospheric attic. Yeah, no, I don't think. I was going to make a joke about how an atmospheric attic is something you can get from IKEA. No, I don't understand what you mean by that. I thought you might be referring to nuclear tests, because when they used to do atmospheric nuclear tests, on the other side of the world, they'd suddenly find like residue from that, fallout from that would appear in water and soil and things like that. All right. Anyway, so you raised some good points though, lab-based. Again, sometimes you have to be relaxed and just think to myself, okay, we don't have all the answers yet. We just have to wait. The answers will come one way or another. Reply to comment 77. We have Gin Skin Pivot. I'll try one more time. Oh, no, hang on. I will try one more time. Oh, God, I'll try one more time. I hate when it annoys me when you use terms like this. This exasperated, like Karen-esque kind of words. I'll try one more time. I know it's convenient for you just to completely duck the issue. I don't duck the issue. But I really did not ask you to open a valve and pour out material on the books you cited. I know you didn't ask, Gin Skimper, but I decided to. I just want you to explain, as you have done on Apollo matters in other videos, why is it you think it was possible for men to go to the moon in the 1940s but not in the 1960s? Gin Skimper, for the last time, I have not said it's impossible. I have explained this to you. There's the secret space program and there's the public space program. All right. The public space program states, and if you'd actually just looked at the bloody references I gave you, I'm not going to spoon feed you. All right. This is the last time I'm going to explain this to you. It has been possible to go to the moon since the 1940s. Okay, at least. With the development of AEPD, as Greer calls them, alternative energy propulsion devices. I believe that people went there. I believe that some people, probably from the 1930s onwards, were going to the moon using these AEPDs. Now, what happened was the anti-gravity research was plundered from Germany at the end of World War II, taken to the United States, Soviet Union, Britain, etc., developed in secret, and parallel to that, a public space program grew up in the form of NASA and the development of rockets. Now, I believe it was not possible technically using this public technology to go to the moon in the 1960s, but of course it was using the secret space program technology. Alright, that's what I've been saying all along. I'm not going to explain it to you again. If you don't understand that, then you obviously are not a native English speaker and you need to learn better English. David Smith says, I thought the idea was they had alien tech in the 1940s that got them to the moon. Oh, blood, David gets it. Jin says, in that case, can Ben briefly qualify how this relates to his position? I've already done that. Actually, I'm not going to read this comment out. I'm not going to read this comment out. Actually, well, actually, I'll read this. I won't read the second paragraph in this comment. I'm going to read this third one because it looks quite amusing. As usual, when Ben sees rational explanations, firstly, there's no such thing as a rational explanation. There's only rational methods. It's all down to rhetoric and a belief system. No, I don't. I just reply to you. But when Ben goes on about mediums talking to the dead, manifestations, UFO encounters and government conspiracies, he has the facts because Richard D. Hall or Nick Colostrum or Randy Walsh said so. Well, you see, if you're going to misrepresent me that badly, Jen, I mean, you were probably I think you were one of the people who, at the end of Objectgate, and you said to me, Ben, why do you keep insisting that Objectgate was definitely caused by aliens? And I thought, and when I read that, Jen, and I think you were one of the people who said this, and at least two people said this, I just said to myself, why did I bother making 5 videos on this subject? Why did I bother doing 2 live streams and 3 recordings, about 8 or 9 hours of material about Objectgate, exploring every single aspect of it? I became obsessed with it, the same way I am with Grush. I might as well just uploaded a 5-second still and then just gave it the titles I gave those videos, and then you could reply to those. Why? Because if everyone was like you, I wouldn't bother making these videos because you don't watch them. You don't watch them, and what you watch, you turn your back and plug your ears while they're playing, and then you ask me these stupid questions which have nothing to do and completely and utterly indicate that you are not interested in the information in these videos. It appears the sensational is just more believable than the narrative backed with mountains of science, physical evidence, Newtonian principles and reliable respectability. Well, to coin a phrase, that's rhetoric. I could say, well, it's just 2 plus 2 equals 5, 2 plus 2 equals 4 is just more believable than the true narrative, 2 plus 2 equals 5, which is backed by mathematics. I could say that if I wanted to. Would 2 plus 2 therefore equal 5? And then David Smith says to Jin, pretty accurate summary. They don't think rationally on these beliefs. Jin agreed. Ben is a typical defender of the likes of Henderson and Hall, and the quite hypocrite. It's okay for Hall to call people frauds and liars. No, it's not. Jin, I'm one of the ones who I said to Richard, because he called me that. He called me a servant of the mainstream media, and I said to him, I mean, I don't know if he's seen my reply, but I said basically, if you're going to call me that online, you can call me that to your face. But Ben does block and delete stuff when he takes offence at. This is just the number of people, like the people who come to me and say things like, Ben, I bet sometime you're going to say, what you're going to say is, right, Jen, Ben never ever allows skeptics onto his channel. He bans 4 or 5 of them every week, and he deletes hundreds of comments. Are you going to say that? If you're going to misrepresent me that badly, right? If you're really going to misrepresent me that badly, Jen, there's just no point talking to you. No point at all, because I'm addressing a figure of your imagination. I'm not addressing you. I'm not addressing anything you say about me. I'm addressing to an imaginary caricature of me you have within your head, exists nowhere else. So I actually don't like the way Richard behaves with certain people. Richard has made a case, I think a very rational case, that an historical event at the Manchester Evening News Arena is not what it appears to be. He's presented evidence which I think needs to be addressed. And I don't think it's fair for people to call him to account for what is it, defamation and harassment and things like that, for something that other people have done. I don't think that's fair, and I hope Richard wins his case in court. I'm going to do everything I can to support him with that. And what you said, I can get quite personal and use expletives. I only do that when people are really rude to me. You know, I'm a level-headed, calm person. I was a hospital porter for 23 years, okay? You have to be quite sanguine and stoic when it comes to that particular job. But I have my limits, and if I've been rude to people, it's because they've deserved it. Right, okay, that's the end of that. Jin, like I said, Jin, I'm not going to reply to this anymore. I'm not going to reply to you these imaginary tirades you get into. You need to watch what I say. Please watch my videos and reply to the material I'm presenting. And you said here at the beginning, I'll try one more time. I'm quite pleased, actually. If this is your final effort and you believe I've not answered your question properly, or I've not answered your post properly, and you're not going to try anymore, believe me, that'll be good. Like you and Charles, you can try talking about another subject or shut off, basically. Because I'm tired of it. I'm really, really tired of these frustrating conversations where we're just at cross purposes. Right, Steve Mumbling on New Insider. He's posted a YouTube link.
These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles. No kidding, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either.
Oh, New York. It's not, is it?
What's name is David.
Oh, it's bloody Green Street. It's Green Street. All right. Whoops. No, it's this one here. Right. Well, as you know, I have actually covered this very, very carefully in a video which was not currently available on my channel. I hope it will be again soon. Steve, so you posted me a link to a video which I already know about, and I already know about it. Okay, so reply to comment 77. David Smith. Okay, your analogy about an old woman getting mugged doesn't work because you're comparing apples to oranges. All right, okay, yeah. A woman falling over or being mugged are two pretty down to earth and unfortunately not terribly uncommon situations. A massive incident involving hundreds and thousands of people and victims being faked is nowhere near as down to earth or reasonable. Okay, and you say here you need to correct it, and it would have to be between the woman falling down or perhaps being attacked by Bigfoot in drag. That would be more accurate an analogy. No, it wouldn't. You're wrong about the second part there, but you're partly right, because the analogy wasn't quite correct. We're referring here to the Men Arena event. All right, the bang, whatever it was. Okay, I'll correct the analogy. I mean, the analogy I gave you was actually correct for, say, 9/11, which was a real attack, which really happened and real people got killed. Other events, of course, appear to be stagecraft. They're not actually something. What actually happened is actually fake. You see, some other events are like that. Okay, in that situation, all right, a lady's walking along, and an old lady's walking along, and she kind of like she gets into a taxi, and she drives off, and the taxi drives her away. Okay, in that situation, is it correct to call the police and say that lady, she's actually been killed by muggers? Would it be correct to call the police in that situation? And when her family was wondering where she's gone, because the taxi takes us to the airport, and then the airport, on the plane she flies away somewhere. Is it correct to say no? She's actually died. She was beaten by muggers and they killed her. Okay. Is that? I think that's a more accurate analogy. So you're right. My analogy was incorrect for that particular the men arena situation, but your correction is wrong about Bigfoot in drag. Okay, that's an incorrect correction. And we have Wobbly Willy Willikers, who says here, more to the point, Ben alleges that R. Hall attacked an old lady with a baseball bat. If Ben really saw this happening, then why doesn't he give credibility to R. Hall at all? Is Ben in danger from this person? R. Hall has never attacked anybody with a baseball bat, believe me. Or a sharpened spike. A sharpened spike. A sharpened spike. Richard has never done any of these things. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if bloody Mariana Spring makes some documentary saying, oh, Richard Hall, he did attack someone with a base. I wouldn't be surprised if she actually does that. She actually accuses him of something like that. Because she seems there's no limit to what she'll accuse people of. Alright, so 77 again, and it's David. It's David Smith. I think you keep using the skeptic and pseudo-skeptic interchangeably. Well, maybe we can quibble over terminology, David. If you believe the Earth is a globe, does that make you a pseudo-skeptic and the flat Earther just a believer? I think it means you have a different opinion of what the... all right, this is getting very philosophical now. I'm skeptical of the flat Earth hypothesis, okay? And the flat Earther is skeptical of the globe Earth hypothesis. If you believe the guy emailing you about a box of gold is lying, are you being a pseudo-skeptic? No, you're saying, well, this is a well-known scam, the Nigerian princess gold deposit scam. No, so you are skeptical, but it's like it's a rational skeptical. So pseudo-skeptic, you're not. No, I wouldn't use that. I wouldn't call that person a skeptic. I'd just call that person rational. Because that's taking the opposite position of the claims being put to you in those cases. I know, David, and if you want to use that terminology, that's fine. I use the word rational. Now, when it comes to terminology, you have watched my skeptic lecture where I actually talk deliberately. I specifically try to break down this use of description, this use of these words and their definitions. You know how the actual slogan that skeptics use when they... Because I say I would call myself rational, the skeptic would say, well, yes, but skepticism is rational. Do you see what I mean? And I would say, no, so your skepticism, what I call the skeptic movement, is not rational. So, do you see what I mean? We're quibbling over the definition. You can't simultaneously say you have bias and beliefs, but will disbelieve government and mainstream narratives. I think you can. You can admit you have a bias and belief, and then say, well, maybe this does influence in how I interpret government and mainstream narratives, but then so do you. It influences how you believe them, how Michael Shermer believes them, Stephen Greenstreet, how they believe them. But somehow pseudo-skepticism doesn't apply to you. I think rationality applies to you in that case. If it's just based on direction of acceptance, and then we run into the problem that in most cases mainstream tends to have a whole lot of supporting evidence in its favour, which you might be sceptical of, and so it seems to be more about denialism. Let me just read that bit again. It's based on direction of acceptance. The problem is that in most cases mainstream tends to have a whole lot of supporting evidence in its favour, which you might be sceptical of, yeah, rationally doubting, and so it seems to be more about denialism. No, because denialism is when you say, I believe this and I'm not going to listen to any other, I'm not going to listen to any other hypothesis. You know, the woke is screeching at you're a racist because you say white people are not evil. That's a denialist. You know, the flat earth are blocking you on Twitter because you explain things such as horizons and how they work. That's denialism. And what I do is I simply dispute that what you claim has a lot of supporting evidence in its favour has that evidence. So, and I'm aware that that's my bias, but then you have your bias, and I do make an effort to overcome mine, and I ask you to overcome yours. I've heard religious people say things like, I used to be a skeptical atheist and I had an experience and now I believe in God and I'm still a skeptic. Well, if you define a skeptic as someone who just disbelieves in something, anything in the philosophical sense, then yes. And the thing is, if you are a complete philosophical skeptic, you have to disbelieve in nothing. You have to disbelieve in everything except the Cartesian principle. I think, therefore I am. The only 100% certain thing in the entire universe is your consciousness, your personal consciousness. And Daniel Dennett even denies that. But that's just so extreme that I don't know anyone who actually really thinks that. People who believe that are called solipsists. Believe it or not, there are actually solipsist clubs. That somehow doesn't make sense. Anyway, and they may be skeptical on some things, but not their God belief. Yes. Well, unless they've come to the conclusion that God exists through rationality, as many religious people do. I mean, believe it or not, there is a rational case for the belief for the existence of God. I mean, what's his name? What's Alistair McGrath? I mean, I'm very fond of Alistair McGrath. He's a very good author who's a big critic of Richard Dawkins. He's an Ulsterman. He's actually head of, I think, theology at Oxford University. It's always some undemonstrable claim or experience. Well, again, that's debatable whether you can, as I said, it may be rational to believe in God. But by yours and David's, that splendid isolation's definition, they wouldn't be a pseudo-skeptic because they have a bias and a belief that goes against skepticism. Well, if you define pseudo-skeptic as someone who is a denial of anything that's not complete 100% materialism, then yes, I wouldn't actually define them that way. I would, if you use, I'm a bit confused about what the definition of these words. Pseudo-skeptic, I think, is a word that David's splendid isolation uses for what I call a member of the skeptic movement, in which case they wouldn't be that, no. They wouldn't be that, because they have a belief that actually contradicts atheo-materialism. Atheo-materialism is a belief system, its adherents don't deny that, but it is. You see what I mean? To me, it would make them a bad skeptic or a pseudo-skeptic. I think it's more about the dogma rather than the details of the belief. Yeah, I think maybe that's true. The dogma rather than the details of the belief. I think that does happen on all sides of this debate. Yes, and I do honestly want to. If I'm suffering from that, I want to overcome it. Which is why I have these discussions with people like you. Okay, I might trust the government when they suggested getting certain medical treatments to help prevent the spread of the disease, but that doesn't mean I trust them if they suddenly suggested that drinking a bottle of bleach would save me from an incoming alien invasion. Right, that's it, David. Yeah, I'm sure. I hope that people wouldn't believe that. But you see, in that case, I suppose you have a level of credulity in government pronouncements. Possibly because you believe that that certain medical treatments are safe and effective, to use that phrase, and they prevent the spread of a virus that went over the entire world a couple of years ago, that had the potential to be dangerous. And you say, well, that makes sense to me, but drinking something poisonous just because of little green men that might appear, that's not rational. So you're just declaring there that you do have a threshold of credulity. Which is sensible. I'm pretty much the same in that respect. If I fell down and broke my leg, and the government say, well, in that situation you need to call an ambulance and go to hospital, I would say, yes, I believe you. That's below my threshold of credulity. Okay. I'd be asking for a much greater standard of supporting evidence for the latter situation. To me, that's skepticism. Yeah, I agree. If someone was a dogmatic pseudo-skeptic, or I'm going to assume you mean by pseudo-skeptic somebody who is a member of the skeptic movement, okay, then perhaps they would simply accept the government's bleach agenda. Oh, I hope not. I mean, I hope nobody would. I mean, there are maybe people who are that stupid, but yeah. But to me, that's just another side of the same coin of the people who believe the government always lies and the official narratives are mostly bunk. I suppose you could say there are extreme levels of credulity and disbelief. Credulity on the one hand and its opposite, which you could call skepticism with a C or whatever word you use. They both have elements of dogma and pseudo-skepticism until they can show good evidence in support of their beliefs. Yeah, I suppose so. Anyway, David, that's a good comment. Thank you. New UFO Insider live stream. Israel Diego Rivera to Genius to the Real Genius says lots of sightings of unidentified OAPs on mobility scooters. Well, one of them was Joe Biden, but the others, who knows what they are. Right, here we go. Diego Rivera. What about the Las Vegas alien? Right, I've covered that. Diego Rivera. David Smith says another one with no evidence. A meteor is recorded. Okay, then someone says they've seen aliens in their backyard. Okay, I'm actually going to start. I've actually about a minute left on the clock, but I'm going to stop now because I started a bit late. All right. Okay, guys and gals, hour number 2. And so I will say here to David Evan. I'll carry on with David Smith's reply to Diego Rivera about the Las Vegas alien. Another one with no evidence. A meteor is recorded, and someone says they've seen aliens in their backyard, but doesn't take any pictures. Actually, David, I agree with you about this one. But to be fair, they did take a video. Okay. No evidence of anything, just a claim. They try to link it to the light in the sky, suggesting it was a crashed craft, but they have no evidence of a crash in their garden. Lol. There was the videos I've seen of the meteor that happened on May Day. It does look like a meteor to me. Other people reported something near. There's a lake nearby called Lake Mead, which is like a big reservoir created by a huge dam. Someone said there was something else there, like a structured craft or something. I've seen no videos of that or photos, but what I've seen so far looks like a meteor. I'll let him carry on. Some people say things for reasons that are personal and knowable only to them. It doesn't have to be fame or money, etc. Sometimes others even go along with it. Sometimes it can even be a miscalculation on their part. They may think by claiming something it might work out in their favour or so, but then it doesn't. This is why the whole argument of it makes their lives better or worse isn't good evidence to suggest whether or not someone is telling the truth. The truth should be independently verifiable. Yes, it should be, ideally, yes, David. However, I do take your point about that, and I mean, I personally don't believe this young boy, Angel, whatever he is, his name is, this kid who made this claim. There could be many reasons why he did it. I personally think it may have something to do with his attempt at starting an NFT business. I wish him luck with that. Good luck to it. It's great that he's so entrepreneurial at such a young age, but and he may be trying to start a bit of viral marketing. I think that's dishonest, though. It's a dishonest way to do it. I also am suspicious about how this story was not broadcast until 5 weeks after it happened, probably because George Knapp is a member of the team and said this would be a good time. This was probably originally shelved, and then they said, oh no, because of David Grush we can report on it now because it'll go a long way. I don't know. I personally I'm dubious about the whole thing. However, the argument of it makes their lives better stroke worse is good evidence, I think. And indeed, most skeptics will say this as well. Most skeptics will say things like, Bob Lazar made a fortune off what he did. Or Graham Hancock he's got a 20 million best-selling book over the lies he's told. Things like that. So skeptics do use that argument too. And unfortunately, it is good evidence at some point, because you have to ask yourself, you do have to wonder why this person is doing it. And so the truth ideally should be independently verifiable, but I think this evidence, it makes their lives better stroke worse, is valid. You can bring it to the table. And so I sent Diego Rivera a link to the Las Vegas thing. I wrote an article on HPANWO Voice about it. So you can let's have a look. Where did I put it? I'll just show it to you briefly. Here we go. There it is. There you go, guys and gals. The Las Vegas aliens. You can go and check that out. There's the URL. There's the URL. There we go. It's on HPANWO voice. Okay, Charles Scott says here on reply to comment 77. Give the factual proof and factual evidence. What about? It's very silly. Oh, Chris Evers. No, forget it. Charles Scott again on 77. What's this? Joking on it, not. It was silly of Ben to. What's this? Alright, forget that. Forget that. Hold on a sec. What did you say here? You presented a convoluted comment like the. Okay, you say something rude here about Jamnoy72, who is my soul sister. Now, she hasn't replied yet. Jackie, if you want to reply to this guy and give him hell, you go ahead after what he's called you. If you don't want to do that, I'll just, you Charles, I block people who behave like that, all right, with other people who comment, or that in that way. But I don't want to patronise Jamnoy. She might want to give you as good as she gets, in which case I'm going to let her. If she doesn't, then I'm afraid you're blocked. That's out of order, what you just said. Jin Skim Pivot says here, I'll reply to comment 77. Like I said, Jin, I'm just going to have to put you in the Charles Scott basket unless you start being, you just pack this in, all right, and start representing me properly. Steve Mumbling does indeed have a belief system, Ben. So do I. It's called science, specifically physics. Well, those aren't belief systems. Those are scientific those are methodologies. They are ways of seeing the world. That's not a belief system. I know you don't like hearing this, but, well, if I don't, why do I keep hearing it? Why do I keep letting you say to me all the time? But Scott Henderson actually has no evidence to support his general claim. There was some kind of problem with radio communications to and from the moon. He could state what the problem is, nor blah-de-blah. Oh, well, in that case, why is it when we had a debate with Steve Mumbling couldn't really reply to him? He just called him names. Radio signals. Alright, this is just talking about details of radio signals and things like that. Henderson couldn't sustain his own argument. Well, he didn't. Jin, he didn't get the chance. Mumbling didn't give him the chance. As for criticism of those of us who, in your words, believe the official version, all of Henderson's side, now regular cite and quote NASA material, is entirely reliable when it suits. The EG&G paper by Henderson to support the theory film doesn't work in a vacuum. It just we've done there's been experiments done. We've been through that, Jin. I'm not going through it again. And he quotes a paper here, a study to determine the optimum design of a photographic film for the lunar surface handheld camera. And not a study to determine if film can work in a vacuum. We've been through the experiments that Owlis and other people have done. The same paper includes reference material on prior or current film use in a vaccine, vacuum of space, on Apollo matters. You supposedly inform skeptics just know enough to look ridiculous each time you defend wafflers and fantasists like Scott Henderson and Marcus Allen. Rhetoric, no argument. I'm glad I've got that one over with. Charles Scott. Onwards, you failed to address my first comment. Evers, no, forget it. What Wobbly Willy Wilkers says underneath. It didn't come from there, though. That's the whole point. When the chair collapsed, it was a bird, not a mouse, that got scared. I don't know what that means. Well, Wobbly Willy Willikers now says something else I don't quite understand. But I'm not responding to Charles, so I'm going to leave it there. I'll leave that comment there. Reply to comment 77. Glowtone says, thanks for replying to my comment on the Oxford Graffiti 4 video. You questioned why I brought up the subject of YouTube auditors, saying it wasn't relevant, but I was referring to my question about you being approached by members of the public while you were out and about filming, which you answered. I was just making the comparison with regards to you filming. Oh, okay, right you are. Well, I mean, I don't do auditing, but I mean, people have sometimes come up to me and spoken about. I do watch some of the auditors occasionally, but not Charlie Veach. Look forward to Oxford Graffiti 5. Oh, thanks, Glowtone. Yeah, I watched the auditors too. I mean, I suppose it's a form of entertainment. I do find some of them I find like Veach, I think, and some of the others just do it for their own ego. Others are a bit more. I mean, I think others are a little bit more kind of like sophisticated and modest. And I suppose I find them entertaining. But Veach, by his own admission, does it because of what he calls unprocessed childhood trauma, and I wish him all the best with that. UFO Insider Update live stream. Barbara Whittle. Sorry I missed your live stream. Just tuned in. Great to see and hear from you. Thanks, Barbara. I'm sorry you missed it live. What Dreams May Come, Watch, Read, Party Review. Jason Gavea. Hi, Jason. How you doing? Great film with a great performance by Max von Sydow. Yes. Jason, I know you're a bit of a film buff, and I mean, we've been talking about these things on Facebook. He was brilliant. Max von Sydow was great in that. Is this the man who doesn't give up? Yeah. Same. This is UFO Insider Update live stream. Zoella. I'm not going to read out the whole name here, but this is Zoella, who has posted before. I love these cozy live streams in which Benji Boy extrapolates hours of nothing from the tiniest morsel of not much at all. I know you do, Zoella, because you watch them from beginning to end, don't you? You must get something out of them. Taft Derek Baker, how you doing, boyo? UFO Insider Update live stream. Didn't see a live stream, just got it. Ben the man. Thank you very much, Derek. Same video, Steve mumbling. What were you saying about Mick West? He's saying exactly what I am. Nothing new. Where's the evidence? All right. Has Mick West finally started making videos on his channel again? Let's have a look. Oh, he has.
We have had a huge reaction to our
Oh, no, he hasn't. This is
David Grush, and we've heard from several officials who have in fact verified
what's
that
happening? Why
Grush
is this
is
page
who
not
he says
low? Oh,
he
it's
is
the
and
page.
did in fact have top secret clearance with the government program on UAPs or UFOs.
Oh, well,
But
this is
not
someone.
everyone is
Whoops.
convinced by what
This is skeptic whistleblower claim on UFOs isn't accurate. Oh, I've seen this. Yes, I've seen it, Steve. News Nation. Where Mick West is actually on News Nation. Yeah. Well, no one can accuse them of not. No one can accuse them of not giving both sides of the story, can they? Same video, Steve mumbling. So Grush has left the military. He's now a real estate agent. PMSL. We all know having no integrity is a prerequisite for selling real estate. Is it? Is it? Oh, so you mean you have to go out and you have to paint over the dry rot and things like that? Is it not? Well, I think that's a little bit unfair, and I think that's a generalisation, Steve. You know, a lot of the UFO believer side of the story, they're also been quite unpleasant to Grush. In fact, Grush is actually deactivated all his social media, probably I bet Ross Coulthart probably advised him to do that because you get a load of abuse. Ross gets a load of abuse. Not just from the skeptics, from people on the UFO side who think he's saying the wrong thing or saying things too soon or too early. As he says, it's puerile. Okay, where are we now? Steve mumbling, same video. No alien species. All right. He said this before. He's going to leave technological and/or biological material here for us to study. You don't know that, Steve, because you're not an alien species. You sometimes sound like one, but you're not. You may recall during World War II, any advanced technology crashed behind enemy lines was destroyed to prevent the enemy from examining it. Yes, destroyed by human beings, Steve, who think and feel in a certain way and have certain ideas because they have brains like ours. So we can't anthropomorphize the aliens. We don't know why they may do this. Or what? Maybe it's unintentional on their part. Maybe sometimes it's not. Maybe they do it intentionally for some reason. The same was true for one of the stealth helicopters used on the Bin Laden compound raid. One crashed and was destroyed by the crew with explosives to prevent it being examined and reversed engineered. No alien species is going to help us get to them and potentially destroy them. It's nonsense. We don't know that, Steve. The story of the Bin Laden raid. One of the special forces soldiers who supposedly took part in it has written a book actually about it. He's got in a lot of trouble with his fellow special forces guys. Yeah, what happened is one of the helicopters did crash. Yes, it crashed into the garden outside the house, and the operatives actually did apparently blow it up. Yes, to stop it falling into the hands of the Taliban. Which is, had they known what was coming a few years later, they wouldn't have bothered. It'd be pretty much superfluous because the Taliban were given like quite a lot of these helicopters to mess around with when Biden said, we got to get it, it's not working, get out of here, and then just evacuated the entire American contingent, leaving behind all this hardware for them to play around with or use. Honestly, I mean, people say, well, they can't use it because they can't maintain it and all these sort of things. They don't have the spare parts or the expertise. Doesn't matter. The Taliban will just, if they can't, the Taliban will simply sell it to people who can. Yeah. Anyway, that's a different point. The point Steve is making is that extraterrestrials who come here with their hardware would behave exactly like humans do when we're in a strange place, which I think he cannot possibly know, and I don't think we should assume that. There may be lots of reasons why they don't. Same video, Steve mumbling. Trump said he doesn't believe in aliens. Well, the word he used was not particularly. At the same time, why did he say that? I mean, he was on camera at the time, and he knew he was being filmed and being interviewed. Maybe, does he really think that? Or maybe he thinks something else. Williamism says on same video, big reveal on June solstice 2023, or eyes open. That's the timing ritual. Now, that's interesting because that is actually not far away. Today is the 17th, which means the 21st is actually Wednesday. That's Wednesday. So is Wednesday the big reveal? Well, if it is, you can bet I'll be doing a video about it. DJ B2, same video. Been looking forward to your further thoughts on this matter. Well, thanks, DJ. Thank you very much. I'm glad you have. I hope you enjoy them. And now we have Gary Robinson here on inside a live stream. Okay. Bedmate, in regards to the fact you don't get credit for breaking the Pentagon story, this is why I suggested to you a while back that when things like this happen, you make sure you produce a short video that makes it clear you are the man that people should be contacting. All right, well thanks. Thanks, Gary. I mean, I did. You see, well, it wasn't a short video. It was actually a long video. It was over 3 hours, if I remember. I'm sorry about this. Just say it was actually over 3 hours, but I did make a video at the time. In fact, this was the first kind of video about Penturk. Well, there was some short ones produced by Gary and Sufon, but they weren't published. Anyway, videos like this need to be backed up with the right metadata as well as blog posts and social media posts in order to make sure that Google, etc., is linking the subject with you. I know what you mean, Gary. The problem is if Google is also shadow banning me, it works against that, and I understand that, yeah. So long as you are producing short and concise videos that state all of the facts in the way that would be helpful to, say, the lamestream media, you will eventually be the go-to man, especially if you make regular videos for other events, not necessarily taking the credit, but doing a better job than anyone else presenting the information. I expect so, but a short, concise video may have been ideal for this situation. But what I did instead was I actually went there and made quite a long video. My first Pentagon video was actually quite long, although it was the first one, and you can tell by checking the dates on it. It is literally I'm one of there are three principal figures in this, I think, and Gary Kaz, of course, myself. I mean, you could say that Sufon Sufon are in the same situation as me, Emlyn and Steve and everyone. They also investigated it early on, and then they of course also haven't had the same. They haven't been really credited for what they did. At the same time, though, they have quite mixed feelings about the validity of the story. They did, yeah. So anyway, he carries on here. This is how some people, shall we say, become UFO darlings of the media. They might not be making UFO videos, but they know how to make information available as to who in order to become the go-to people. Cheers. Well, thanks for the information, Gary. That's much appreciated. I mean, I suppose I can't really play that. I'm not very good at playing that kind of game. That's the problem. I'm not very sophisticated person, really. I'm quite a simple kind of person, really, and I operate on a one-dimensional level when it comes to publishing information. Of course, I mean, this is a lot of people make this complaint, and I suppose you could say, well, that's all of new ufology is essentially this. It's people who really they've come in and they've like stolen the limelight from people who've been in there a lot longer. I mean, people like that UFO podcast and people like that, Ross Coulthart. Many other channels and social media and Twitter accounts and things that emerged after 2017. But does it matter that much? I mean, I know what I've achieved, I know what I've done, and you guys who watch me know what I've done, and you're the people who matter. And when I've come to because Google is shadow banning me as well, I suppose really have to just accept that and just be content with what I have. And what I've done, what I've achieved, I think is very, very good. I've written 3 books, 3 on very, very unique books, a fictional account of the whole disclosure thing. There's only one other person who's done that. That's this guy Craig Falconer, a Scottish author. There's no one else has done that as far as I know. Bryce Zabel says he's going to do that, but he seems to have abandoned the project. So, the people who matter appreciate me. And that's all that matters to me. But thanks, Gary. Thank you very much for that. Maybe I'll try something like that next time. When something like this happens again, I'll do the same thing. The Lights Were Those says, absolutely, Ben doesn't take enough credit for the effort he puts in. Ben could easily have authored or co-authored the book. You are the man, Gary, to point Ben in the right direction. Listen to Gary, Ben. He's clearly a good guy and he knows a huge amount about the media and industry. Thanks, Lights, and I will. And have authored or co-authored the book. Well, I could have been. I mean, if I had the time to get involved with Kaz and Gary's project, I could have contributed to the book they did. But really, the book really didn't need my input, I don't think, because it simply covers what Kaz as the principal witness and Gary as the field researcher have found out. I mean, I essentially did the same thing. I publicised what they were talking about. But I gave my own commentary to it, and all I could do really with the book was repeat that commentary, which wouldn't really have made much difference. Wobbly Willy Willikers says to The Lights Were Low, it's been coming on the wind for years. Something you can hear then. It's frightful. That sounds like song lyrics to me, Willie. And Gary says to The Lights Were Low, my comment was a bit messy and very badly written in a rush, but you guys get the point. There are ways to present yourself as the go-to person on how yourself and your content is structured and presented. Gary, I know, and I suppose if I were more media savvy, I'd probably be better at this, but I'm not. And I mean, I will try out your suggestion next time something like this happens, which you probably will at some point. But UFO Insider live stream update. Steve Mumbling says, I wouldn't expect to find any metal in an alien spacecraft. I think it would be made of super exotic synthetic low mass materials we can't even imagine. Well, I don't know. I mean, it would probably contain the same elements that we're familiar with, because Steve, we know that the same elements that we find in our solar system exist in other solar systems because of spectroscopy. We can measure, look at the light coming from distant stars and galaxies, and we can see absorption lines for certain materials, and we know that those materials are pretty much the same as what exists in our galaxy, which means that an extraterrestrial race would have to work with the elements and create chemicals and alloys and things like that they would in the same way we do. David Smith says, it's metal, Steve, but not as we know it. Great Star Trek line. Mumbling says to David Smith, we're just starting to see new materials like graphene. It's 200 times stronger than steel, super light, and conducts electricity like copper. It's an ideal aerospace material, but it isn't metal. An alien species capable of getting here, would have materials we couldn't even imagine. Well, maybe that's why we have such problems analysing them, Steve. We would have no chance of bringing one down, and they certainly couldn't crash due to weather or technical issues. Really? They're not going to be perfect, Steve. No alien species is going to leave us a present to study. How do you know? How do you know? I might send you a Christmas present. Now, if I do, you wouldn't expect that, would you? But I might send one to you. They're not going to get help. They're going to help us get them and potentially destroy them. No one on Earth has any ET technological or biological material. It's science fiction nonsense. No, it's not, Steve. It's not. But Lights Willow says, I have to agree, Steve. Well, Steve, I think Steve is... No, I don't, Lights. I think Steve is making some assumptions about the extraterrestrials and about what they do, what they think, what they feel. It's people say things like, well, they wouldn't do this, they wouldn't do that. What they mean is, if I flew to an alien planet, I wouldn't do this or that. Which is not really... It's not really a very good answer, I think. All right, David Smith says in reply to Steve, mumbling, come on now, Steve, we all know how they dug up some of these from the ground after what must have been an ancient alien civilization of some kind. Bob L. even said that is so. It has to be true. Great sarcasm, David. But, really, how do we know, for example, that, even though other planets in distant stars or galaxies will probably have the same elements on them that ours do, we don't know, that they may have them in different proportions. For example, metals, which are maybe rare on this planet, may be very abundant on another planet. So, for example, the raw materials to make graphene may not exist in such minute quantities on other planets that it's just not possible for economic or practical terms to mine them and use them, which means that they may still have to use metals and just use sophisticated alloys like the ones that Dr. Irina Scott talks about. It could be that that's a reason for it. It could be that the materials we use. You say we use these smart materials. Okay, we're super exotic synthetic low mass materials. That's big. Those that we use partly because we have access to the commodities necessary to make them. Other species on different planets might or not. They may have, for practical or economic reasons, to develop different commodities into new materials. Again, Steve, you are anthropomorphizing and making a lot of assumptions here, which I don't think you should. Steve Mumbling says to David, of course, I remember them recovering Ramesses III's digital TV, yes, from the bottom of the Red Sea where he drowned, yes. That's a Bible story, by the way. Steve Mumbling says, he begins with a quote on the same video. Quote, if there's nothing to this, why is it really happening? That's what I said, yeah. Because Grush has jumped on the ET bandwagon just like Corso did. Corso, yeah, functionally you can make some parallels between Corso and Grush, but Grush has come out with far less crazy things than Corso did. He's probably not selling very much real estate and fancies himself as another Jeremy Corbell, a full-time professional piffle peddler. It's simple as that. There's no doubt this will indeed fizzle back into obscurity, as there is zero tangible evidence to back it up. Well, we don't know that, Steve. That's what your prediction, which may be true, may be false. I think it's going to be false. Yeah, could you really think with his pension and with his experience he wants to become a full-time professional piffle peddler when, does he really want to lose all his friends and the respect of his former colleagues and things like that? Is that really worth it? I mean, Corso had a lot less to lose than him. Corso was older, he's retired. Some people argue that he actually wrote that book to fund his grandson's school fees, which could be true. Grush, if he's got children at all, they're going to be a lot younger, and that's not going to be the case. And he's only been out the service a few months. It's not. I don't believe he would be successful like Corso did if he did what he did. Same video, Wobbly Willy Willikers said, no, Ben, the backslappers are nothing to do with it. For a start, they are completely the wrong colour, and secondly, there is no room for them, so why do you keep saying that? What? What are you talking about? The backslappers are nothing to do with it. They're completely the wrong colour, and secondly, there's no room for them. What are you talking about? The backslappers, unfortunately, the backslappers have been very vocal over this. And I've taken them to task very, very correctly for what they've done. I mean, for example, maybe you don't quite understand what I mean by backslappers, and not many other people do. I mean, a good warning sign that someone is a backslapper is if they call someone else naive. Now, naive is a really nasty insult to give to people. It's a demeaning, patronising insult, indicating you're more worldly wise and knowledgeable about how things are, man, than they are. And it's insulting to call people that, especially, well, me as an ex-hospital porter especially. But anyone, I mean, you know, Christina Gomez, who is a charming, a very knowledgeable, positive young lady with a lot of enthusiasm for the subject, has been called naive by the backslappers. She's the one who wrote that brilliant article, Who is Lou? No, Who Are You? Where she takes apart the backslapper who created that Who is Lou documentary about Lou Elizondo. She does a brilliant breakdown of it. It shows I don't think she's naive. I think she's intelligent, and I think she can see many of the same things that I can about new ufology, even though she is a new ufologist herself. And they call her naive because she just doesn't jump on their bandwagon, which is, hey man, I can see through the disinfo, man. Look how superior I am. And they, I think that's appalling. So, like I say, the backslappers, you know who they are because they call people naive. But there's lots of other indicators as well. Oh, they seem to have like a big. Another thing is they seem to have an affinity for body language and statement analysis. Now, they're not the only ones. I mean, some skeptics do as well. And as I said in the previous video, I think it was either the last one or the one that's been banned from YouTube. I have a lot of problems with body language and statement analysis, and I know very well that every body language statement analysis expert in the world is descending on David Grush like a flock of vultures or a swarm of wasps at a picnic right now. And as Coulthard himself said, everyone's looking at your face to see if you're telling the truth. Oh, like I said, I've watched two of them. I've watched two body language experts now. One of them was the guy, I shared it with a friend of mine. I can't remember his name. The other one is that Mrs. Barlard, whatever she's called, that Jordan Sather uses. They come to different conclusions. One of them thinks he's being more truthful than the others. Both agree that he's very nervous. But I think that's another problem I have. So my first problem with statement analysis and body language is it's not an exact science. The second I have with it is the people who tend to be enthusiasts for body language and aficionados of the method tend to be people who use it as a substitute for other forms of research, as a substitute for more broad scholarship. They're people who ignore other areas of methodology, others' research. They're people who say, well, I'm not having anything to do with anything that person is saying or any of the evidence they put forward. So it's someone who basically shuts their eyes and says, go away, in denialism about what some other researchers discovered using a different method, and they say, I'm going to use statement analysis or body language as a substitute for that, to replace that, and I'm going to use this, and I'm going to claim with using just this one method that I have solved the problem these other people who I have nothing to do with couldn't solve. I mean, it's obvious the worst offender for this is Richard E. Hall, but there are many, many others. I mean, it's like you have a bank robbery, right? And these guys with stockings over their head run into a bank. They hold up the cashier with a sawn-off shotgun, grab bags of money, and they run out. There's an old lady walking past with a Zimmer frame. I love old lady analogies and metaphors. The police arrest her. They give her the Peter Hyatt test. She fails it. Does that mean that she's now the prime suspect for that bank robbery? Do you see what I mean? Okay. Anyway. Willie says here on the reply to comment 77. Willie's a new commenter. He's been very vocal. I assume it's a he. He's been very vocal lately. Wrong. The RXT580 steam sprockler. The RXT580 steam sprockler was never used for that purpose. What the hell is an RXT580 steam sprockler? Are you commenting on the right video, Wobbly? Are you getting mixed up with someone else? The fan blades would mesh the wrong way so you couldn't get it off the ground unless a crowbar had been primed first with a synthetic carbon print. Don't you know anything, Ben? Well, don't you? What the fuck are you talking about? And Willie, new UFO inside a live stream. Willie says here again, technically, They can be used that way, but mostly they're used in conjunction with a mellotron, especially the big orange ones with the bolts on top. I love those at school. They are filled with dry peas and bits of plastic or sand for that nice swooshing sound. Lovely. Am I dreaming? What is this? This is like a surreal... What is this, Monty Python? Reply to comment 77. It's a good thing you're diversifying your interests, but I think you would make a terrible pianist. Pudgy fingers, short legs. It's not you. All right. You don't know how long my legs are because I'm sitting down. Pudgy fingers. I don't know. Maybe. I've never played the piano. Alan upstairs plays it, as you know. UFO Disclosure 2023 Senate Hearing Part 2. Willie says, This would be easier to consider, Ben, if you didn't believe in the flat Earth. Well, I don't believe in the flat Earth. Prove the flat Earth, then first move on to aliens. I don't believe in the flat Earth. Right, new probe. Willie's going through my old videos now. Sorry to hear this, Ben. Who probed you? Have them arrested. Well, believe it or not, Willie, that's a joke that comes up many times at the conference. Artemis 1 live stream. Willie says, I still didn't find your case for the flat Earth particularly compelling in this, Ben. That's because I didn't make it, Willie. I'm a globalist. I'm a roundhead. Reply to comment 76. Willie replies to Jojo Spurn Gripper, who I can't actually see their comment. No, I think R. Hall is that depressing-looking fellow who hasn't showered, changed his clothes, or shaved in years. Right, well, that might be who you're talking about. Richard, well, he hasn't shaved for a few years. He may well have showered, I don't know, but changed his clothes? No, he still wears the same brown suit, doesn't he? Willie, right, TV programs, a hospital porter reacts. Willie says, how come you aren't using your new glasses? Your eyes look tired. And oh, you mean glasses in this. Put them on and re-record this presentation. All right, well, I made that video long before I got these glasses. That's why. Facebook live stream non-election. Willie says, this is strange. You look a lot younger in this one than you did last week. Were you under stress before? No, I think these glasses add about 15 years to my apparent age. They do, I think, yeah. Willie says on Apollo Detectives 12, Steve Mumbling special. This is an eye-opener, Ben. I thought you and Steve were the same person. The things you learn, eh? You thought me and Steve Mumbling were the same person. Different accent, different hairstyles, living on the other side of the world. Really, Willie. Get real. Right, reply to comment 77. No, Ben, you are sorely mistaken. R. Hall and David Icke are not the same person. Icke is a former soccer player from Peru with a huge bubble gut, and Hall is a depressed beanpole from a strange place in northern UK that have a funny dialect. Do your search. All right, well, you're right about those two things, those two descriptions of those two individuals, but except that Icke is not from Peru, he comes from Leicester. But apart from that, yes, they are exactly what you call them. The thing about it is, though, I've never said they were the same person. It's possible Mariana Spring got them mixed up, or maybe. 77. Willie says, this is shocking, Ben. It must have been terrible to witness an old lady being beaten up with a baseball bat by R. Hall. If you testify, will you be safe? Maybe you can do it anonymously. I think you were kind of half listening to me and didn't really get my point. I was really the old lady being beaten up was a metaphor for the and then telling lies about it is a metaphor for how Richard is being treated by the mainstream media and by the plaintiffs in this case. So yeah, that I was having a debate with that. Richard has never beaten anyone else up with a baseball bat, as far as I know. Or with a sharpened spike. A sharpened spike. Oh, here with Rin Michaelis 8. Oh, it's Rin again, catching up. I was wondering, Willie says, I was wondering what your wife looks like. Is she a flat earth person too? I don't think Rin believes in the flat earth, and I'm not married to her. I've never met her. All right, Bon Appetit, reply to Reactionary Expat. This is a cool one. This is from years ago. There's the Georgia Guidestones there. Willie says, they built the Guidestones again. I didn't know that. They look pretty close to the originals too. Oh, Willie, look at the date on the video. The video is from years ago. The Georgia Guidestones were blown up last year. Unfortunately, the granite company of Elberton has actually volunteered to replace them free of charge, based on the original design, so they'd be exactly like the old ones. I hope that doesn't come about, and if it does, well, yeah, community guidelines. But you know what I hope will happen. AMASH Conference 2013, Vox Pop Part 3 of 5. Willie says, is that your own hair or wig? It's I don't know if it's a wig or real hair, but it doesn't belong to me. If you notice, the person that I'm interviewing is not me. It's a guy called Andy. It's a guy I've known for years called Andy. I still speak to him today, actually. Welcome to HPANWO TV. I think this is my first ever video. Willie, why are you advertising your channel at this late stage? We already know about it. Willie, you seem to have you're going backwards in time, mate. You're kind of going backwards in time. A person goes to OLM 1 year on. Willie, I'm confused. Is that your twin or just someone who looks like you? Never heard of OLM. What country is that in? It's in the People's Republic of Hull, and it's Outer Limits magazine. And that person actually is David Jones, he's my alter ego that I inhabit. My soul inhabits it when he wants to sneak into conferences that he's been banned from, or I've been banned from. Okay, AMASH 2013, Vox Pop Part 4 of 5. You got the title wrong. It's just 2013. It's 2023, as you know. No, you got the date wrong, Willie. Check it. Oh, you're making me laugh. All right, UFO Disclosure 2023, the big interview. Right. This is the video that's blocked. Funny enough, it's really weird, but this is actually. It still seems to be gathering. This is what I don't get. This is actually blocked in all territories, but it's still getting new views. It was on 490 last night. It's now on 536, which doesn't really make sense because no one should be watching it. No one can see it except me. Okay, Steve mumbling. The big question is, if Congress and Arrow say they've taken a deep dive into this, freed anyone from secrecy oaths, etc., and found there is no substance to this story, no one on Earth has any extraterrestrial technological or biological material, would you accept that? Ask Richard Dawkins. Richard Dawkins said, would he accept any evidence to say that God exists? He said no. So this is essentially you're saying that is my hypothesis unfalsifiable? The answer is if honestly they are completely transparent, totally, and they allow us access into all the and they address all the allegations made by any whistleblower over all time, and they show all their documents that have basically discredited every single UFO report ever made, and all the other accusations that have been made against them, I would have to say yes, I would accept that conclusion. I'd have to say that. If I didn't, then I'm being a denialist. Or will you only accept that we have ET material story? Your answer will tell you if you're delusional or not. I can guarantee your excitement will be short-lived. This story is science fiction rubbish. Well, we'll see pretty soon who's delusional or not, and we'll pretty soon see if my excitement is justified or not. We will find out, I think, very soon. But the answer I've given you, my answer is there are circumstances there are situations which would be fulfilled that would falsify my hypothesis, yes. Definitely. What would actually disprove your point, Steve? What would make you accept it was true? Because I know there are some skeptics who, if they parked a flying saucer on the White House lawn, they'd say that was a bouncy castle. Are you one of those? Willie says, as far as I can tell, they're wheeling out a new Blob Lazar because the last one failed. Oh, we're getting conspiratorial now. Steve says here, a new Lou Elizondo, a new Philip Corso, etc. This will happen every few years, but nothing will ever come of it. ET will be found by SETI or the JWST or some similar project. They will be found light years away, not here. Well, it could be that SETI or JWST will actually succeed in its mission, as I've said in my SETI talk. But I believe that they are here, and there is evidence for that. Now, as I said, Grush is actually quite similar to Elizondo, but they are both different from Corso, for reasons I've explained. Willie says, the only non-PPV media outlet of any significance who are pushing this are Fox News. I guess they need a distraction since their meal ticket got an indictment a couple of days ago, just saying. Alright, you're referring to Trump, I assume. What's a PPV? I don't know what non-PPV media means. Pay-per-view? Pay-per-view. The only who are pushing this is Fox News. Fox has covered it, but also, I mean, really, News Nation are now the only one really covering this in detail. And I think they may have some kind of exclusivity contract. Fox News have mentioned this. I mean, unfortunately, since they got rid of Tucker, they're not. Tucker used to talk about this much more openly than the idiots they've replaced him with don't. Right, the big interview again with Wobbly Willie Willikers. I don't think any of you can see these replies notices yet until the video is restored, which I hope it will be. No, you're bringing destruction and disaster upon all of us. I've seen what is to come and it's fearful. Stop now, the time is too short, Ben. You know, you are like, Willie, you remind me of Roger Irrelevant from the Viz comics. Have you ever seen Roger Irrelevant? Is he still there? Roger Irrelevant. Yeah, he's a character, Roger Irrelevant. He's a character from the Viz comic. Here we go. Not to be confused with Roger Melly, the man on the telly. Here he is, Roger Irrelevant, and he keeps talking about. He just keeps talking in continuous non sequiturs the whole time. He's just there's Wikipedia list of Viz comic strip. It's so funny, man. It's so funny. Roger Irrelevant. He's completely hat-stand. A young man with a very strange mental problem where he continuously produces irrelevant and surreal streams of language and behaviour. In one strip, Roger throws a lamp from the roof of a house after a long, impassioned and obviously unsuccessful plea for the lamp not to commit suicide. On another, he decides to elope with an armchair, declaring it's pregnant with his children. It's yeah. Oh, it's good. That's Roger Irrelevant, yeah. And I'm just saying because Willie sounds a bit like him. Woody Black, use an ad blocker. Oh God, do you know what? I mean, I did say before I didn't want to use one because once you start using ad blockers, then they start putting like paywalls up and things like that. But really, YouTube are taking a piss so much with their ads that I'm thinking of it because really their funding model. They had a perfectly good funding model with like ads at the beginning for the 5-second skip button, and now suddenly you're getting like 20 second, 30 second plus ads in them, beforehand and after and everything. It's getting stupid, and it really frustrated me that they dumped this stupid little chirpy ad right in the middle of a cliffhanger moment in the video. That annoyed me. It did. And really. Twitch, for example, is even worse. I mean, Twitch is impossible to watch because of all the bloody ads. It's every 5 minutes you get like a minute of ads. It's nuts. Woden20 says on the big interview, I don't believe a word he's saying. To elaborate on a simple question, he's trying too hard. I do believe in Woden. Now, I might be wrong. I think time will tell, but I mean, I'm provisionally holding him as honest. We'll see. More information might come about. Wayne RS4. I mean, I do explain in the video why Woden and in the follow-up ones. Wayne says, "Okay, Ben, I have a question for you to either answer or investigate. I don't know your age, but obviously you're not my age, lol. But something in my childhood happened many years ago. At a guess, I'm going to say during the 80s, but it could have been the late 70s. I was a child and remember myself and the neighbours all going outside one evening as something strange was hovering over Luton. Couldn't really see it, but it was there. The next day on the news and local papers, a burnt circle was seen in the grass at somewhere called No Man's Land, which is a recreation area just outside Harpenden area of Bedfordshire. Just curious if you know anything about it." Right, Wayne, I don't. Obviously, this was a long time ago. I don't remember this. So what I'm going to do is I'll just Google it, actually. Luton UFO. Sightings over Hertfordshire reported to the police. Welling Hatfield Times. Luton International Carnival. Unidentified flying object sighting 2009. I'll put here 1980s. Reports 97. No, it's not. I'll put it in 1970s, see if that helps. Luton UFO 1970s. No. Prepare for a wave of extraterrestrial sightings. People report. No, it's The Guardian. Flamingos return to Luton. No, sorry, mate, I can't find anything. Can't find anything there relevant. Sorry, Wayne. Wayne, I can't help you there, mate. Sorry. Big interview, Gary. Ben, mate, I'm sorry to be putting on my skeptic hat, but I have a real problem trusting these people that go on mainstream TV with UFO stories. Well, I understand that there's some. I'm going to have to put the fan on. Sorry, guys. I understand that there are issues here we have to deal with. I accept that. We shouldn't be too credulous. But I'm not putting my skeptic hat on just yet. But anyway, let's hear what you have to say. Just a quick observation, but at the start, when the guy is asked his name, he quickly expands with a lengthy self-justification. The point being that he was only asked to confirm his name. Yeah, I mean, however, it could be. We have to bear in mind that Ross and Grush have been speaking and conferring for months before this interview took place, and the interview was filmed over a 7-hour period, and there are many outtakes. No doubt also there may have been some coaching and scripting, which of course you could say maybe which could cause, for example, doubt on the validity of it. If there's some coaching and scripting, you could say, well, maybe he didn't even mean any of this. So we don't know, but that could be another reason why this happened. Peter Hyatt always points out that when people expand on an answer without being asked, it means they have a need to persuade. Don't worry, my tinfoil hat is right here on my desk. I'll put it back on later. Cheers. It could. Well, this is the thing. I mean, I don't know enough about the circumstances, the setup of the particular interview. It could be that Ross said, we need you to state your name and your role and everything. Basically give you, outline your entire DD-214 for us. Could be that. But anyway, I hope to persuade you to restore your tinfoil hat to your head soon, Gary. Willie says, ratings. I don't know what that means. Gary says here on same video, another observation while listening to this guy. I would rather listen to Ben talking about UFOs, the history of the subject and the details of classic UFO encounters, etc. No worry, mate. I will come back to that at some point, Gary. Besides, this video may be blocked permanently on YouTube. I don't know. We'll have to see. Guys like the one on this TV show, in my opinion, do nothing more than tell us they've not seen anything and can't confirm anything. Ben, mate, we need to get you on TV, mate. Well, you see, as I explained, there could be the reason for that could be that they have essentially had to preempt the process for reasons that Ralph Blumenthal also explains. This wasn't originally part of the plan. The plan was that they were going to do something in the Times, and this was going to coincide with some kind of big reveal and some kind of public congressional hearing. The congressional hearing is still underway, by the way. Tim Burchett and many other people are going ahead with it, which they wouldn't do if there was nothing to this. David says here, his official position, David Splendid Isolation, I should point out, not Smith. His official position, reputation, and what he's presented to Congress via documentation and other evidence is what makes this different than most previous whistleblowers. Correct, David. I could say that to many of the other people who've been doubting him. Steve Mumbling, for example. This makes him different to Corso as well, and indeed slightly less different to Elizondo. Willie says to David, no one has ever misled Congress before. It's unthinkable. No, yes. I did not have sex with that woman. Yeah. I'm sure that Willie. Gary says to David, I guess my point is that regardless of his credentials, we are never shown any evidence. It always comes down to stories and people assuring us they are true. The only thing we've been shown by the mainstream media is the so-called tic-tac footage. But I have to be honest and say that the RDH debunking of those videos is completely convincing. I really am sounding like the skeptic of this week. Maybe David, maybe Gary, but you did put skeptic with a C. The reason we've not been shown the evidence yet, I'll explain. He can't just come out with the evidence right now. I mean, you could say he should have waited and he should not have said a word publicly until he had that. You could say that. Well, there may be several reasons why he didn't. Testing the water, herald, things like that, seeing how people react, that kind of thing. It could be to preempt some kind of maneuver from within the deep state or the white hats, etc. Now, as for the RDH debunking, the RDH debunking is completely false. It's completely wrong. It's not convincing at all, Gary, in my view. There's several reasons why I don't believe these things. Firstly, Richard is drawing on people like Mick West and Anton Petrov. Anton Petrov just repeats what Mick West said, really. There's another guy called, there's Thunderfoot as well. I forgot what his real name is. Again, I've actually done an entire breakdown of Thunderfoot and Mick West's analysis, and if you actually read UFO Truth magazine, I put in an article there called UFO Skeptics Get It Wrong Again. So it's not. I mean, the idea, because Richard, I really thought better of Richard than that. He just coming out with the same stuff that Mick West does, or something very similar. Big interview. Michael Honan. Hello, Michael Honan. How do you do? Welcome. Lol. Ad rage. Yes, ad rage. Oh, bloody hell! But it's true. There's this massive kind of like. They had this massive like cliffhanger moment, and then ding 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 ding. Have you ever thought? Have you ever wondered? This is the best insurance company for you. And it's like, talk about ruining the mood. Big interview. Kernow means Cornwall. He's got the Cornish flag actually as his avatar. Hi Ben, thanks for doing this video as a reaction type. It's always interesting to see an expert watching live. Thanks very much, Kernow. Brett Riverboat says on Big Interview, the fact he was doing this interview on News Nation throws up red flags to me. I don't think he's credible, just my gut feeling. Right, Brett, I don't know much about News Nation. I literally never heard about it until this came up. Since then I've subbed to them, of course. But it is true that there seems to be some kind of exclusivity involved with News Nation. Now, there could be several reasons why this has happened. It could be similar to the fact that Kane and Blumenthal published first on the debrief. That we know Blumenthal has explained how there was originally a plan for a much higher level launch. They're originally going to throw this out to the public on a much higher on a floor much higher up the building. Instead, they have to sort of go in on the basement level. And the reason for that was the schedule was getting too long. I think there was they got frustrated with the length of time. There was some delay. I think they may have wanted to preempt some kind of maneuver by the truth embargo to cut them off at the pass, things like that. That could be why this happened. It may not be the red flag you think it is. Indeed, Greenstreet says that's the same kind of red flag that he says, and I think he's wrong, and I explain why. Willie says, making it PPV did not throw up any red flags. Right, well, Wobbly Willy Willikers, that's the first coherent comment you've actually made, and it is one that I actually agree with you on. They made it pay-per-view, and that to me, I actually said this in the video, my video response. I actually said, you know, why this? Why, if something of such historical significance, they only put it on one channel. They can't even make up their minds when it's supposed to be broadcast on the schedule, and they put it behind a paywall. Yeah. So Willie, for once you're not only coherent, but you're right. Big interview. Joe Plays EK. That's an interesting name. Joe Plays EK. I wish the late Kev Baker was around to witness all this. Cracking video. Oh, thanks, Joe. And you know what? It's times like this when I think Gareth. Where's Gareth? Where's Kev? Where's Ian R. Crane? And Stanton Friedman. Oh, gold. Yeah, I mean these guys just. It's really sad that these brilliant people they left the party just before it got going, and that is just so sad. It's such an irony of history. Well, you know, I believe they're watching from somewhere. I think it's likely they're up there watching from somewhere, and I just hope they're enjoying it. I just hope they are. It's a shame they can't be down here with us, but they're watching us. They're spectators from up in wherever they are. Keith McLaren says on Big Interview, I wonder what causes them to crash with presumably much higher technology. I believe Roswell was a Trojan horse where the silicon chip was found, a silicon-based life form takeover. All right, I don't know what causes them to crash with presumably much higher technology. Again, this is. I'd have to speculate in the same way Steve Mumbling does, and I don't want to do that. It is possible. Technology is not a guarantee of victory or dominance. And for example, in World War II, the Axis powers, specifically Germany, had a far higher level of technology than the Allies. They were developing things like they had cruise missiles and ballistic missiles, things like that, rocket engines, rocket-propelled aircraft and missiles. Not to mention the secret stuff in the mines and places like that. But they still lost. Yeah, a modern warship can be sunk with a medieval naval cannon. If you point it below the waterline and the cannonball has the kinetic energy to breach the hull, that ship is going to sink. So I don't know the answer. As for the silicon-based lifeform takeover, Corso said that the silicon chip was created by from alien reverse engineering. I've seen lots of claims made about lasers, microchips, things like that. They were all radiated food. These all came from, according to Corso's book, these all came from aliens. But as Willie says, no, the silicon in chip was invented by, well, I don't know if he's being serious here, by Hedy Lamarr. The silicon, she had to keep quiet because she was a woman and an actress in the 1930s. She also invented broadband decades ahead of its time. America and smart women in the 1930s was too much for the world to handle. That's a great satire of feminism there, Willie. But no, the microchip was invented by... You see, the things that Corso talks about, lasers, microchip, etc., that was reverse engineered by the aliens after Roswell. Not true. These things were created by people, and there are documents that prove this. There are scientific papers, things like that. You can't cover up that much. The conspiracy would be too top heavy if this is just disinformation. So, yeah. But anyways, good comments, guys. And it's like, that's the end of an hour. Right, and so we're going to go on to hour number 3. So, see you shortly. Alright, guys and gals, we're back again with hour number 3. It should probably be the last one, actually. I'm getting through the YouTube comments quite quickly. So yeah, these have been getting a bit shorter, I'm glad to say. Caroline McGreal says celebratetruth.org. Right. That's actually words, not a URL, because she knows it. I think she knows that it might end up in the spam folder otherwise. I would have liberated it, but it's easier just to do it that way. Now, a big interview, Steve Mumbling says he co-led the UAP portfolio for the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. He has no first-hand knowledge or experience of ET material. They could have stopped the interview right there. He's probably disappeared from social media because he feels like a goose for believing the usual suspects that fed him all this recovered ET rubbish. Right, well, Steve, firstly, right, you don't even know who those suspects were. He hasn't named a lot of people. He says these are people he's been working with for years and knew very well. Well, that can't be Elizondo, because Elizondo's retired and also worked in a completely different part of the Pentagon. Well, for example, we know that it was that he was involved in the UAPTF, not the 2007 ATIP, OSAP thing. Right, so he was still in the Air Force back in those days, so he didn't work with Elizondo there. And why stop the interview right there? Steve, there seems a bit of a double standard here. I mean, when, for example, do you remember when was it Andrew Gilligan and all that sort of thing was going on? And, Blair was told, yes, there's weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. They could launch missiles within 45 minutes. Do you remember that? Do you remember those lurid headlines in the papers? This was all hearsay, yet it was believed. Oh, you could admit this kind of evidence to court. You know that. So, and we don't know what's coming. You see, what if more comes along, Steve? What if it doesn't fizzle? What if it, to quote Bryce Zabel, what if it sizzles rather than fizzles? See what I mean? The view why he disappeared from social media is. I mean, I don't know why he's removed from the. He's also removed himself from his professional organisation, which, as I explained in the interview before then. But I suppose you've got to ask the question why. There's also, you have to ask the question, why did he disappeared from social media? Probably because the bloody trolls and backslappers and the skeptopaths will be all over him like a swarm of wasps. They'll be closing on him like piranha fish, calling him names and abusing him and saying, you know, all the usual bullshit and evil, toxic rubbish they throw at people. Anyone with any kind of position within this field, any kind of prominence, and that includes me. I've not been on News Nation yet, but look at the crap I get. Not from you. I mean, you're not credulous of me, and sometimes you're rude, but you're not abusive. But look at the kind of abuse I get, Steve. That's why he shut down his social media account. He'll get what I got multiplied tenfold. That's why. It's because of the people that Coulthard himself calls these people out, calling them puerile, spiteful, immature, and all these other words he uses to describe some of the idiots on UFO Twitter and how they behave. And I quite agree with him. Willie says, what's Richard Dolan doing these days? He missed his opportunity for his Nobel Prize for proof of intelligent alien life. Well, I think he's still trying, Willie. In fact, he did upload a video the other day. I mean, he was a few days... The thing is, he couldn't do it straight away because he was at contact in the desert. He had to get home from there. And then he did make a video about this subject, which is very interesting. The big interview, Steve Mumbling, says, the interview has more holes than a colander. I feel a video coming on. All right. Let's have a look. What's Steve Mumbling got for us? Let's have a look. Oh, he's got several here. Look. My take on Grush Twaddle. Oh, he's got Shermer. Oh, he's just repeating Shermer. UFO fanboys with more delusional drivel. What's this here?
Oh, hello again. I just thought I'd do a very quick video. I watched this yesterday. And it's a couple of our favourite UFO fanboys, Emlyn-Jones here, and Steve Bassett. And funnily enough, Steve Bassett.
David Smith says, just what I needed. Cheers, Steve. And Mumbling says, cheers, David. Glad you found it entertaining. I'm going to say it to David. David, he couldn't have done it without me. Let's see what else is here. What else he got here? The Grush Twaddle.
Well, hello again.
Oh,
I've just been watching this Total Tosh by one of our favourite cloud.
Well, he must have spent a lot of time. It's 2 hours 90 minutes, and here we go. He's done a 17-minute video about this. Well, I'm not going to watch all this now. I'm not going to watch all this now. Ben missed out the part where Kaku said there's no proof of any of this. I've not watched all of Kaku's video on this, actually. I've not watched the entire Kaku video. Michio, though, I like. I think he's quite open-minded. But that's him talking about Shermer. Whoops. Reopen a last closed tab. Where is it? Oh, you just saw my comments page.
Well, again, I've just been watching this Total Tosh by...
what's here? My take on the David Grush interview. Oh my God, this is an hour and a half.
Well...
I'm not watching all this now, Steve. Just more stories as Bardi's Den. Oh, wish... Willie is now commenting on Steve as well. Hey, how come you're commenting in a coherent manner to... How come you're commenting in a coherent manner to Steve and not me? All right.
Oh,
contradictions between... Hey, Steve! Oh my goodness! Steve Mumbling... Steve Bassett and... It's on Nexus. I've been watching something from Nexus. Oh my God! Steve Bassett and Nick Pope have been on together. Where is it? Hang on, where is it? I've been watching... Where is it? Here we go. Nexus. That's not to be confused with Nexus magazine. Let's have a look. So this is an aside. I shouldn't be doing this now.
We have...
Right. Where is it? It's Bassett and... Oh, I'm not watching all this. I'll find it later. Alright. How I became a mafia boss. Oh my God, is that Alison Dunlop? That's enough of that anyway. Alright. I'll if I'm really bored later on, I might watch a bit of Steve's videos and see how that goes. But anyway, where was I now? Okay, Willie says Ben says it all. Well, wait, I'm not screen sharing now. Okay, Ben said it was all balls in this video. Well, I said there were spherical UFOs. Yes, they've become quite common, Willie. And this obviously spherical UFOs happened before. I saw one myself. Just going to get some more dragon juice. I saw some spherical UFOs myself, or one, and it was a structured white craft. It was very big too, but they're actually more common than people think. You know. Obviously, there are all kinds. There's the black triangles. Maybe they go through phases, perhaps, when some are more common than others. I don't know. Because I don't know where these things are coming from. It could be they're coming from very, very different locations. Big interview. Mumbling says, of course, Coulthard is softballing him. Ooh, that sounds kinky. Coulthard is a UFO fanboy with a book to sell on the subject. Steve, right. What are you saying? Is you say that people who study UFOs should never write books about them? Or are you saying they should just give them away for free? What about that big pile of books behind Michael Shermer when he did his video, right? Obviously he's advertising his own books. Now are you saying that he shouldn't have written those books? Are you saying that he should just give them away for free? Because it looks like he's got a book to sell on the subject too. Does that make Shermer dishonest? You see, you're looking for ways to discredit people. And as always, when this happens, when you're looking for people to discredit on a personal level, you fall into double standards. Oh, but yeah, you see, again, the softballing from Coulthard could well come from the fact that there was some coaching and scripting in this interview, which was not ideal, perhaps, but still. They've been conferring privately for months, and they recorded 7 hours of material at this event. Willie says on Big Interview, "You said it, Ben. This story is about UFOs is a load of balls. Your words. Well, it is partly a load of balls. Usually they're sort of white, or they are translucent or silver, and they are between 3 feet and about 12 feet in diameter. Yeah." I think it's 14 feet, I said, yeah. Steve Mumbling says, the documents he's referring to is probably the Wilson memo. Wilson himself said it was nonsense. Ah. And, of course, Eric Davis says I couldn't comment, but Eric Davis has changed his tune, Steve. And I still can't find the page. But he's changed his tune. And what's more, how is it that he's referring to the Wilson memo when the Wilson memo is in the public domain? The documents Grush is referring to ones that he works with in a classified setting. So if it's the Wilson memo, then obviously this is a previously classified document. Willie says Dolan is having a go at Wilson again. That's disgusting, trying to disparage a decorated war hero just because he won't support a UFO story. Well, I don't. But you see, this is again, it's saying someone's a decorated war hero and the thing is, if I say, well, David Grush is a decorated war hero, you say it doesn't matter who it is. It's the evidence that counts. So which is it? You've got to make up your minds. And Steve says it is indeed. Well, Dolan. If Admiral Wilson is lying and has made things up and is trying to help cover up, then why should he not be criticised just because of his? He may well have made done some admirable things in his time, but it doesn't mean he's immune from all criticism now. All right, Trump impeachment 2 live stream banned. Willie says, Ben, Trump doesn't love you and he won't thank you. He loves money, but he can't love him back. What's Trump going to do with all that money? Eat it? Sleep with it? Well, he puts it to good use, doesn't he? He funded his presidential campaign with it. He doesn't love me. I've never met him. I don't know him. I mean, he may watch, in which case, good. Reply to comment 75. Willie says, Ben, you really confuse me. Why are you defending all the woke malarkey in this video? Men have a penis, women do not. What are you talking about? I've not. What the hell are you talking about, you fool? Right, the big interview. Steve Mumbling. Congress should get Grush up in front of them to name the insiders working on the recovered materials that fed him all this nonsense. They should then get these people in front of them, free them from their security oaths, put them under oath and ask them precisely where this work is going on. Yes, that's, I think, what they should be doing. Precisely what they're doing with and who to report it to. Well, I agree with you there. Yes, Steve, that's exactly what they should do. They should then ask these people to provide tangible evidence of these materials and release samples of these materials into the general academic scientific community for analysis by some of the world's top universities. Let's do this properly. Let's get the evidence peer-reviewed by many and find out exactly what it is. Oh, I actually agree with you, Steve. I do. Personally, I think if this was done in the usual suspects would fold up like a pack of cards and admit it's all rubbish. Well, I think not, and time will tell who's right or wrong. Right, big interview, Armand Adams. If they come and this story is true, if they come and his story is true, that's a whole lot of woo. Ben better get the bunting and trumpets out. I know, Armand. Oh yes, I'll have to get myself another bottle of Disclosure champagne. Big interview. Steve mumbling. Italy was allied to the Nazis during World War II. I know. If an alien spacecraft crashed in Italy in 1933, it would have been handed over to von Braun and his team and the Nazi physicists working on Hitler's A-bomb project during World War II for examination. Well, the fact they didn't indicates that this alliance between the two countries, the Axis powers, may have come with some strings attached. Unless they did somehow share it with the Germans and Roberto Panotti couldn't find out. They wouldn't have waited until 1944 to hand it over to the Americans. They could have done that before the war. It's another science fiction story. Well, by 1933 they were probably anticipating that there would be a war at some point with the United States, which means they would have probably hesitated to do that. They didn't, and no one handed it over to the Americans. America invaded and occupied Italy, and captured it. Or with the help. Well, it turns out that the Pope at the time was helping them. If that's true, yeah. Willie says on Citizen Hearing 10 years on live stream. That's from a while ago. Look, you fools, you're in danger. Can't you see? They're after you. They're after all of us, our wives, our children, everyone. They're here, ready. You're next. What are you talking about? Big interview, GSR. Another FBI con job, I'm afraid. I wanted to believe him, but unfortunately it's more smoke and mirrors. Reverse speech tells us he's lying. Oh, now we're on to reverse speech. Oh dear. I should have predicted that. I knew that the reverse speech people would go for that as well. GSR, I'm not so sure. I really am not. I think it's a bit of backslapping actually to jump to that conclusion too quickly. I think we should keep an open mind right now. Matt says, top man, keep going. Thanks, Matt. Thank you. And Crafty Nihilist says on UFO Disclosure 2023, new video, Grush 10 days on. First and second, oh my goodness me, you get 2 tinfoil hats. One for Liz, one for Mark, the 2 sides of the Crafty Nihilist. Willie says, there is no spoon, or any first or last, it's all sloshing around. I mean. And third, says Crafty Nihilist. Dearie me, you're stealing the show. Gary says, Gary Robinson, 3 tinfoil hats on their way to you. Woohoo, says Crafty Nihilist. Willie says, precious eagle cactus fruit. Definitely Roger irrelevant, that, yeah. So 10 days on, see how we are living. The bad and the ugly are the BBC for their absence and pathetic attempt to confuse the mainstream by promoting that stupid Las Vegas hoax. Yeah. See how we are living, yes. That was frustrating, actually, that stupid story came out at the same time. I mean, it may have backfired because they did mention the Grush thing at the same time. I think that may have been George Knapp's intention. Willie says underneath, Ben, if you read this, no good will come of it. If there is any good, anything decent, any spark of humanity, then it's time to put it to bed. I'm not. I don't believe the Las Vegas thing. I think it's nonsense. Beetlejuice says on 10 days on, you don't need to look in the paper to tits, Ben. Just watch the Prime Minister's Question Time. I know. 10 Days On Gary says, I have to admit it's very interesting that all this happened at once. Yesterday, a like-minded friend of mine in Los Angeles posted a video on her Instagram showing footage from a CCTV camera pointed at the main road somewhere in the USA with some houses and shops on the outskirts of the frame. All of a sudden, a beam fires from the top left and destroys one of the buildings. You have to wonder if videos like this are being circulated at the same time as all the UFO soft disclosure material to create some kind of ruckus. Oh my God, Gary, could you send me a link to that Instagram? That sounds very interesting. Willie says, very interesting, Trump has been indicted at the same time, trying to distract us again, are they? Oh, well, you see, according to the backslappers, everything is a distraction. You know, Trump is a distraction from Biden, who's a distraction from the UFOs. The UFOs are a distraction from Trump. So it's kind of like a distraction circle. I mean, you know, it's crazy. Everything's a distraction from everything else. And only the backslappers can see it. 10 Days On Ground Cloud. That's Shaun the Sheep in the Avatar. Fourth. So that makes 4 tinfoil hats. That's Ground Cloud. You leave with nothing, as Anne Robinson said. 10 Days On, Terry Huggett. The government tell the truth. Ha ha ha. UFO only snippet of uselessness that won't say anything. Well, Terry, I'm not so sure, because it could be the white hats have taken over. As I said, we should see what happens. Caroline McGreal, celebratetruth.org again. Fair enough, Caroline. Yeah, I do celebrate it. Neil Peel of the Paranormal Peep Show, 10 Days On. Think the News of the World had the first report on Rendlesham. Ah, yes, Neil. Maybe I shouldn't despair too much at the Daily Star getting the scoop on this, because sometimes, you know, when the chain breaks at its weakest link, but it does break. Willie says, heretic, deceiver, shaman, big wobbly man bits. Neil, what do you say to that? Steve says, really, it should have been the Sunday Sport. Oh, God. Willie says, I was thinking The Onion. Maybe Private Eye. I mean, these things, like I said, I maybe Neil's right. Maybe I shouldn't read too much into the fact that it came out with that stupid, ridiculous story. 10 Days On, David Splendid Isolation. I wonder if Sherma will want to leave their sinking ship before it goes down completely. Sherma at the moment doesn't realise that there's water coming in. Some others do. And maybe this is why Cox has gone silent. It may be why Professor Simon Holland is trying to rewrite his own history. And it certainly is because Sam Harris, who has shown far much more decency and maturity, so much more decency and maturity than any of the others, is essentially apologising and saying, you know, I was wrong. Willie says, or the crashing alien spaceship, to be more precise. Yeah, I think so, yeah. David Splendid Isolation says on 10 Days On, once you understand that someone isn't a genuine skeptic but a pseudo-skeptic whose fundamental and unwavering desire is for a prosaic explanation right from the start, and who always moves the goalpost no matter what they've shown, it becomes a waste of time even engaging with them. We should stick to genuine rational skepticism, not disingenuous pseudo-skeptics. Well, I think that's certainly the people I find it easier to hang out with, David. The thing about the reason I engage with them is, in other words, make the video with Sherma, nitpicking or taking apart deep diving his video, it's not really a reply to him. It's to educate you, the viewers. It's to get you thinking, you talking, and disbelieving what these skeptics saying. TK said underneath, no aliens have ever been here, David. Anyone saying they are either stupid or liars. TK, you idiot. And anyone who says that is an idiot, alright? If you're going to insult me, I'm going to insult you. This is what this stupid Ramona said to me. Everyone who voted leave is stupid. And it's like, so, TK, anyone who says that 2 + 2 = 4 is either stupid or is a liar, right? Is that it? 2 + 2 = 5, and people who say otherwise are not qualified to comment. If you say 2 + 2 = 4, you are not a mathematician, so 2 + 2 = 5. For God's sake, TK, get over it. 10 Days On, Celtic Cousin Celtic with us K says, "Hey Ben, great presentation as always. Thanks, Celtic. I don't necessarily believe everything Jordan Sather has to say. Was he involved with David Wilcock and Corey Good and his Blue Chicken cult? In my opinion, he's not to be trusted. He has a vested interest in making the story all about him and his Blue Chickens." Celtic, thanks very much. I'm glad you enjoyed the presentation. I mean, like I said, I was quite critical of Jordan at this particular juncture. As for Wilcock and Good, I don't know if he had anything to do with them. You see, everyone keeps going on about David Wilcock and Corey Good. I know they've produced a huge voluminous amount of material. I've only watched a couple of it. I didn't find them very convincing. I haven't really had much to do with them. David Wilcock did do a good talk a number of years ago about Antarctica, but his more recent material I've not really studied in great detail. Like I said, I didn't find it very interesting. Willie said on 10 Days On, "You're wasting your time, Ben." Oops, hang on. You're wasting your time. You're bringing death, destruction, and enslavement, servitude, and annihilation to all mankind. You're bringing the worm and the parasite, the slave master, the heathen before time. This is the end of us all. Why can you not see that? I don't know, Willie. Maybe I'm Damien in disguise. Willie says here on 10 Days On, "Ben, the great Library of Alexandria never existed." Oh God, you're not bloody Jungle Surfer, are you? It is a poetic, allegorical story of the decline of a civilization over 3 centuries. It was always understood as an allegory. There was never an actual great physical Library of Alexandria. Hang on, let me just see. I'm not sure that's true, is it? Is it? Let's have a look. I'm just going to do a quick Google. Obviously, I don't know for certain. I don't know. I won't be able to find a reason. I won't be able to find the final answer for just a quick Google. I'll just go to Wikipedia. The Great Library of Alexandria was one of the largest and most significant libraries of the ancient times. It apparently was. It actually did stand on a place in what is now they know where it was. It appears to be a real place. No, it appears. No, you see. Oh, yeah. Look at this. The present-day ruins. Here we go. Is this fake as well? The present-day ruins of the Serapeum of Alexandria, where the Library of Alexandria moved part of its collection after it ran out of storage space in the main buildings. Don't tell me this is polystyrene, right? With paint covered in paint. Alright, so that will leave that for now. Okay, so TK says, "Many important influential scholars worked at the library during the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC, including many others, Xenotidus of Ephesus, who worked towards standardizing the texts of the Homeric poems." Alright, TK. Willie says, "No, they didn't, because it never existed. It's an allegory for society, not a physical place." Alright, well, I think we'll have to leave the debate there for now. 10 Days On, Diego Rivera. "Could the Pope's skull cap represent a UFO?" Well, if the mitre represents a fish, maybe it does. Yeah. Willie says, "No, it represents a very expensive hat." Well, the skull cap actually can be found in Judaism as well. I don't know what the idea of covering your head when you're in a sacred place like a synagogue or something. I don't quite know that. 10 Days On, Kevin White. "UFO crash hushed up by Nick Pope." You know, I never thought of that. I never really pursued the Pope angle in that way. Maybe I should have done. Yeah, I could have think of the comedic potential of that. Yes. Willie says, "Pope also hushed up his illegal visa." John Nolan. "If Nick Pope does not know, then nobody knows." Oh, of course, he's the expert on everything, isn't he, John, when it comes to UFOs? Willie said, "No. If Edward Snowden doesn't know, then it doesn't exist. He went looking and found nothing, so it doesn't exist." Willie, not true. Edward Snowden may not have had access to the material we're referring to at this juncture. Right. Where are we now? That's that thread done with. Neil Peel, Paranormal Peep Show. "I bet Shermer was not sceptical of the J words and drank them down by the bucketful." Of course, yeah. Steve Bumblegat. 5558 Ben accurately describes the Apollo detectives. Alright, what detectives? What's this? People go, I'm just going to. Do you mind slapping my back a minute now? And I'll just slap. Oh, yeah. Backslappers. We're not backslappers, Stephen. Willie says, that's what they're called. That's why they're called the J words from the planet Jibber Jabber. That's why they crash so much, because they're too busy talking than driving the spaceship. Steve mumbling says to Willie, here's the best evidence so far. What's this? Oh.
On your last trip, did you discover what the Earth people eat? They eat a great many of these.
The Smash Aliens. The Smash Aliens, of course. That's the best evidence so far. I knew it. They're after the potatoes. They must really hate the Irish. Oh, sorry. That's Willie speaking there. They're after the potatoes. They must really hate the Irish. Or maybe they hate the maybe that's what the Charlton UFO was doing, crashing in a field in Wiltshire. Steve mumbling says to Willie, you would think there would be a concentration of crashes in Ireland. It can't be easy harvesting potatoes from the air. Well, there are UFO crash retrievals in Ireland. I've got Dermot Butler and Carl Nally's book there, which describes at least one of them. Willie says, all those people running around Ireland, aliens. No, they're leprechauns. Anyway, here we go. Another thread here. 10 days on, Steve mumbling, I'll make a bold prediction. In a month from now, this will have faded into obscurity just like Elizondo. Well, Elizondo hasn't faded into obscurity, but we'll see, because there's no tangible evidence to back any of it up. It's just UFO science fiction stories for the fanboys. Well, Steve, that's your prediction. Mine is different. We'll soon find out who's right or wrong. Willie says, apparently unimaginable advanced spaceships crash at a much higher rate than regular aircraft. 1 per year, if that book by Bill Wood is right. What have NORAD been doing all this time because they didn't notice all these alien spaceships falling out of the sky? Well, they did, you see. A lot of this comes from NORAD, but they don't talk about it. Mumbling says to Willie, they're falling everywhere. Every time I leave the house I wear a crash helmet just to be on the safe side. Yeah. You don't want to be hit by a Zeta Reticulan scout ship when you go out, yes. Especially if you're in the area of the Westall School, Steve. Willie says, sure, the Australian bush is just pitted with craters because of it. Now, the craters are caused by drunk people who've been having too much Foster's falling down and then wee in until the ground dissolves. Gareth Davis dies. Okay. Christy Morland says, totally shocked to hear this. Heartbroken as well. I have fond memories of running a bath every Sunday and turning on my Bluetooth speaker and listening to Mindset Podcast. Loved it. He will be deeply missed. Yeah, I put a love heart and I said, hi, Christy. I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. He's very missed very much, R.I.P. Yeah. I'm sorry if you didn't know beforehand, Christy. I really am. UFO Disclosure 2023, the big interview. Steve Mumbling says, you could have provided a link to the source video. I can't find it. Well, I played it, Steve, but it turns out, and as I said here, it's been taken down from News Nation. Sorry, Steve, there's loads of copies. You should be able to find one. He says, found one, thanks. Check it out tomorrow. Yeah, it's everywhere. I mean, this is why I'm a bit annoyed about what happened next, which I'm going to describe in a moment, because this is basically it's gone everywhere. Alright, so Grush 10 days on, John Nolan says, are you calling Nick Pope a liar, Ben? Oh, you mean yes, no, of course not. Nick Pope told the truth about me and Gary. He told the truth about me and Gary Heseltine and Larry Warren. He never lied. Yes, he did. He is a liar because he lied about us, let alone anything else. Willie says, Nick Pope never worked as a GVT UFO investigator, a government UFO investigator. He was a low-level secretary, a gopher. He got it in with Greer and lied about his former employment. He married a rich girl over here, but also lied on his visa about being a government employee. As a result, he could be kicked out of the States for misrepresenting his status. All right, well, I've heard rumours that people have this stolen valour thing to do with Nick. I don't know, you see, because I think the discrepancy in his Ministry of Defence service actually can be explained in another way. He's not a Walter Mitty. He's simply his real job was for another government agency, one that also begins with M, and the Ministry of Defence job was basically a cover story. That's how this happened. This is why it looks like he's just pretending. Anyway, Bricktop says on reply to comment 77, You talk about being a hospital porter a lot, and I've heard a lot of rumours about how you're not one now. Can you talk about it? Why aren't you a porter anymore? Right, I will show you. I'll give you a resource you can go to, which should explain everything. One sec. I'm just opening up a new window, and then I'll share screen with you all guys. Okay. Here we go. Blah de blah de blah. Right. Here we go. Right. Here's a video. Here's not a video. It's an article to read. Okay. So let me just share. Okay. Right. Share screen. There you go. This article here. There's the URL, which I put up in January 2022. 10 years on, and this is basically a link. This is basically also a portal, a link portal for all the information you need. Okay, that explains everything. So now don't do a bloody what other people do, and don't do a gin skin pivot now, please, and come to me and say, Ben, why didn't you answer my question of why you're not a hospital porter? Oh God. All right, now this is now we're now on the. This is now I put up a community notice, which I'll read to you. I put this up here. Because I had a bit of a nasty shock last night. Well, it wasn't as nasty as some others, but it was this. My UFO, here we go. My video, UFO Disclosure 2023, the big interview, is blocked in all territories because of a copyright claim. There is no strike on my channel, though. I'm disputing the claim under fair use. It is still available on all my alt tech pages. Right, so that was a bit annoying when that happened, and I'm very upset. It is a very ground and actually have. It is a very obvious, I think, very clear cut. It is, I think, a fair use, very obvious fair use exemption here. And even if it's not, I mean, we're dealing with something that is basically, it's so viral now, it virtually is in the public domain. So why the hell? Why the hell is they talking about? Why the hell are they talking about it? Right. Okay. Now Neil says you can still see it. Let's just double check. One sec, hang on a sec. Right. Oh, come on. This might stretch actually into the 4th hour. Right, here we go. Oh, come on, just waiting for the page to open. Content. Channel dashboard. UFO Disclosure 2023, the big interview. No, it is that one. So Neil, so this is interesting, right? Because Neil says something very interesting. I can still see it, Ben, or is this another one? No, it's not another one. But it's interesting you can still see it because it's now got 586 views. It's gone up. Yeah, that's strange. It shouldn't be getting any additional views. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But Neil, it is that one. However, I've noticed also. I did try to log. I tried to look it through a blank browser through my phone, and I couldn't see it. However, it's gone up from like 490 something views to 580. It was 536 earlier today. It's now 586 views. So where are those views coming from? So yeah, you can still see it. I mean, maybe they've tried to block it in all territories, but the block hasn't worked. I don't know. Anyway, but thanks for letting me know, Neil. Thanks for letting me know. Dark Corner's bloody YouTube. I know. Obviously, this is still available on BitChute or on the other platforms. BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble. It's still there. I'll be coming on to those to deal with the comments very soon. So we'll see how it goes. Cole Costello says, "Pride and dignity to all, brother. We will beat them with the alliance. Absolutely. I'm not going to let this put them down. Popcorn boxing, it's unfair. It damn well is. I mean, as I explained. I mean, I'm not going to do a special video about this. I mean, this did happen with what's it called? Sorry, just going through my notes here. Okay. If you remember my review of Twilight, was it not Twilight? What's it called? My review of Silent Night. I played a few clips from that and it was blocked by the copyright owners. Obviously it's an automatic system that does it. I appealed it under fair use and it was released. I'm hoping the same thing will happen this time. It's very obvious a case of fair use, partly because it is for the purposes of commentary and criticism. Secondly, it's dealing with something that is everywhere anyway. It's a de facto public domain property anyway. So I'm hoping they'll see it that way, and that'll be the end of it, and I'll have it restored. That's what I'm hoping will happen. If it doesn't, then well, it's on the other channels. Grush 10 days on TK. The distances involved are so vast. Anyone saying aliens have been here, all liars are liars, and I hate lies. Stop insulting us, TK. You're not helping. You see, you start by making an axiom. The distances involved are so vast. So I could then bring up things like wormholes. All right, but then you say anyone saying aliens have been here are liars, and I hate liars. And that is tarring everyone with the same brush, saying that well, if I even disagree with you on that, I'm a liar. Well, fuck you, mate. Fuck you, bastard. I mean, you really, that is out of order, TK. It's totally out of order. You need to, as I said, I'm not going to block you for this or anything like that. But please explain to me why you have to be so rude to people who disagree with you, and then say skeptics are all rational. Christina Macy says on my community announcements, you must have hit a nerve, Ben. I bloody did, didn't I? Yeah. Thanks, Christina. That's the end of the BitChute comments for now. I'm now going to go over to no, sorry, that's the end of the YouTube comments. I'm now going to go over to BitChute and do BitChute now. Okay, may get this inside 3 hours. You never know, or maybe not. Anyway, I'm going to start by going through, as always. I'm going to go through the recent uploads since the last comments reply video. Reply to comment 77. I'm not sharing screen or anything. I might just have a look. Herpenticide says, here's a comment for you. You are a prostitute disinfo agent. Oh. Your satanic masters will have you for lunch. Quite a substantial one by the looks of it. And when they finished using you, you're right. Herpenticide. Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity. Herpenticide. A guy who posts under, that's obviously not your real name, and you're insulting me, calling me names on an online platform. Look, Perpenticide. Why don't you just say that to my face? I make no secrets about my future movements. I always let people know if I'm going to be at a particular conference at a particular time. Why don't you come to this conference, meet up with me, stand in front of me and say this to my face? And then, if it bothers you that much, we'll take a little stroll in the car park and get some fresh air, if you know what I mean. But why don't you do that? Why did none of these people who abuse me online do that? Like I said in my Watford video, even the droids wouldn't meet up with me in the end. So if you're just going to flash your internet balls and say nasty things from behind the impunity of a keyboard and monitor, I don't take you seriously at all. Right, we have new UFO Insider live stream. Oh, Paula Hoskins said, puts a laugh there. Right. What's this unblock thing here?
Hello, everyone.
Right, okay.
Yes. I should be like, let's just see, I'll just refresh.
Okay, yeah. Paula Hoskins just put some laughing emojis, 3 laughing emojis, I don't know why. I didn't think this was a comedy. UFO Insider update live stream. No comments. UFO Disclosure 2023, the big interview, currently blocked on YouTube. No comments. Grush 10 days on. UFO Disclosure 2023. Grush 10 days on. Alaya Truth says here. Just press pause. What's this? Stop your sins or fry forever. I think is this some kind of a higher truth? Is this some kind of another advertisement for the apocalypse or the rapture or something? Turn or burn. The great.
I have an important message.
The reset by Where's Jesus Twitter music comment. Oh blimey. A higher truth. A higher. A-H-A-Y-A. A higher truth. Very good. Right, this is obviously another advert. I get a lot of these adverts for Rapture videos. I don't mind them. That's absolutely fine if you want to send them to me. You know, I quite find them quite amusing. I don't believe. I mean, well, put it this way. I've done an entire video, and you may be interested in it. A higher. It's called Apocalypse. Apocalypse Soon. Do check it out because it sums up all my viewpoints on the apocalypse. Okay, going to channel notifications now and see what we've got from past videos that were not uploaded since the last comments reply video. So just going to scroll down here. Sometimes takes a few times. Sweeps Fox. Sweeps Fox says here he's got a video called Stripping Away, getting what's this here? Getting facts on agents and governments destroying Western civilization. All right. So I'll just put I'll put a little reply to him here. Keep highlighting these videos. I say I'll put here will do. Because Sweeps makes some really good videos. He and I share each other and help promote each other's videos. So I like Sweeps' videos. So go and carry on down here. There's loads of really good people here, you see, including YouTube refugees, people who are basically banned from mainstream social media. They post on there because they're too politically incorrect. Scrolling along. Let's go down. Right. Oh, we got an old one now. This is her. Oh god, this is her penticide. UFO disclosure 2023. Steve Bassett on Exciting Times. Right. This is a video from when was it? Back in May the 23rd. Right. Her penticide sees here. I hope you're going to be more polite now, her penticide, and not just call me names. For anyone truly interested in the ET enslavement of humanity, start with David Icke or Michael Tessarion's books. You will find the references there to all the ancient writings from every culture on Earth explaining the history. Well, her penticide, I actually agree with you there, especially David Icke. And Tessarion is also very interesting, and it's nice you're actually making a point now instead of calling me names. I think I spoke too soon. Anyone stupid enough to expect I can't say that word on YouTube, the demon puppet politicians to utter one word of truth don't have the intellectual capacity to live. The only good thing about videos like this is it proves the speakers to be prostitute disinfo agents. Oh, yeah, shut up, her penticide. Again, come to a conference, say that to my face. You know, you're not even willing to engage in any discussion. I could explain to you, and I have explained to you in other videos, including one that you've commented on, that there are such a thing as white hats that are very powerful, and they may be taking the power back from these Z demon puppet politicians. These Z demon puppet politicians that as you described them are not all powerful and omnipotent. They are not fallible. You see, a lot of people in distant circles, I've seen this everywhere. You know, we project onto the bad guys, our enemies, almost magical powers. They're all knowing, all seeing. They never make mistakes. No one can challenge them. In which case, why are we bothering? Why are we bothering to do what we do? Why don't they have total victory now? Why is this New World Order taking them so long? For God's sake, get real. Oh, her penticide, here we go. Ben Emlyn-Jones and Richard Wright in dialogue. It's another old one, and it is her penticide yet again. Eric Blair, pen name of George Orwell. I know, yes, I know that. Had inside knowledge. He did indeed, yes. He was a student in the Sorbonne of cabal prostitute Aldous Huxley. The guy is either a disinfo agent or clueless. This guy is either a disinfo agent or clueless. I'm neither, her penticide. And if you're just going to call people disinfo agents and clueless because you disagree with them on a point, you are a complete time waster for yourself as well as everyone else. Because what you could be doing now is you could actually enter into a discussion about what our difference is. A polite discussion. You may be able to persuade me that way. But if you call me names, as you have done, cowering behind your keyboard and monitor and never coming up to face me at a conference, Right? You're not going to persuade me of anything. You're not going to change my mind or anyone else reading your comment or watching this video. And by the way, you've made a mistake here. He was a student of Aldous Huxley, but not at the Sorbonne. It was much earlier when he was a child at Eton. Aldous Huxley was his teacher, and I'd be very interested to. I'd love to be a fly on the wall at one of their after class discussions. I'll tell you, I really would. Okay, so hopefully that's it for Penticide. I don't know. Anyway, is the video still running? Yes, it is. Okay, carrying on down. I think we're actually gonna go to the fourth hour on this. This is fine. That's cool. More the merrier. I don't know about that particularly. What's this? What's this here? No, sorry, that's Dr. Shiva. No, that's someone else. I thought that was a comment reply for a minute. Right. New comment, Charlie Veach is back. Okay, new comment reply on Charlie Veach is back. Right, here we go. This is from Michael Slawson, who actually posted me a comment before. Very nice of him. Ben, can you talk about Richard D. Hall's current situation since they're taking him to court not for libel but for harassment and breaches of GDPR? The fact they can't take him for libel says a lot. Also, he released a new documentary about Manchester which includes a lot of the inquiry hearing statements which were full of inconsistencies on what happened that night. Thank you. Right, Michael, I don't have time to do a full commentary on this right now. However, I have watched the videos you're referring to, the video you're referring to, and it's basically his critique of the Manchester Arena inquiry. Now, Richard himself has just released a new video, and not only that, but he's also made public his court papers. If you go to richplanet.net, he'll give you instructions on how you can download them. Andrew Johnson has also put them up on Check the Evidence. And it gives you all the details of the plaintiffs and what they want, the claimants as they're calling them, and Richard, the charges they're making against Richard in summary and in detail, and Richard's defence. Richard is pleading not guilty and he's defending himself, and he is keeping us updated, and no doubt he will keep us updated with other things. So thank you very much, Michael, for asking me that. I think that's a very important point you made there. Let's just look at your channel. Let's have a look. Oh, right, you don't actually have a... Oh, right, you've got some videos here, right. Oh, looks interesting. Okay. Yeah, channels. I'll give you a sub, actually, because your channel looks interesting. You've got some stuff about predictive programming. Oh, yeah, I'll give you a sub there, because you look very interesting. Okay, so let's carry on now. Oh, new comment by Michael Slawson on Charlie Veach's back. So is this a separate one? It looks like the same one. It's the same. I've got two notifications for the same comment. That's okay. And here we are at the end. That's the end of. Oh, are we at the end of? Yes, we're at the end of all the BitChute comments. So as always, I will click read all, and delete it and delete all. There we go. So that's now fresh. That browser is now fresh. Now we'll move on to Odyssey. Now, Odyssey. I made a spelling mistake and Google corrected me. That's good. They're not shadow banning Odyssey completely. Okay, so here we go. Right. So let's just go to notifications, because I mean, I don't remember any old. I haven't actually seen any old. Like I say, if there's any comments on videos made before the last comments reply video, I make a note of them, because Odyssey comments you do get notifications, but they expire after about 2 weeks. So, right, I've had none here. Jam Noise 72's uploaded her videos here for time with her daughter, which is lovely to see the two of them together, because they've been separated because of the damn P word, bastard V word thing. There we go. Okay, so there's no back comments. I don't remember any, so I will now go to my channel. No, I'll go to my channel and uploads. Thank you. I'll go to my channel and I will go through all the uploads. Oh, it's easy to do it this way. Why can't I access my bloody channel? There, Ben the Jail Porter. Come on, pedal hard. My channel page. That's it. Okay, so reply to comment 77. Loads of ads. I like the fact they got ads actually on Odyssey. Hospital porters pride and dignity. Okay, no comments. New UFO Insider live stream. No comments. UFO Disclosure 2023, the big interview. No comments. That's the one that's I might have to add the suffix banned from YouTube. That'll be if I do that, then of course it's a good selling point, isn't it? This is the video that YouTube doesn't want you to see. Crush 10 days on. Diego Rivera. Disclosure seems closer each year. You know, it does. You know, despite everything, Diego Rivera, I think we are making progress. We are making progress. And it's not how people predicted. I think even Zabel and Dolan are admitting this. It's not coming out how they predicted. As I said, if I was writing my book, Roswell Rising, a novel of disclosure, available at all good bookshops now, price £10, I would write it slightly differently because of that. And things very often are not as you expect them to be. They happen, but they happen differently. And so I'm kind of I think I'm excited by what's going to happen. I like this unexpectedness. Anyway, let's go on to Rumble. Rumble. Ho belabored. Rumble. Okay, so I'm going to do the usual Rumble. Go through all the videos since the last upload. Then I'll go to the notifications from email, because you don't get notifications on Rumble like you do on the other platforms, but you do get email. You can select email notifications, which I will check. Reply to comment 77, no comments. I don't get many on Rumble generally. I get a few, but not many. UFO new Insider live stream, no comments. UFO Insider update live stream, no comments. UFO Disclosure 2023, the big interview, no comments. UFO Disclosure 2023 Grush 10 days on. One comment. Right. This is Witchfinder 666. That's a good name. That's like that. I think that's from that. Good Omens. That was great. What? Oh, bugger off! You can't. You posted this comment before. Well, I'll just put random figures there so I go like that. Okay. Elon Musk, hashtag Elon Musk is dead. UVC radiation is killing your kids. UFO secrets. Hashtag too dumb for disclosure. Hashtag cancer. Hashtag disclosure. And it's a Rumble link. Right, Witchfinder 666. I think I subbed to you actually. I'll just copy and paste that just to see what it's like. All right. I think it's this video actually. All right. Let me just check if it's the same video. Yes, it is. Right. I'll give you a follow actually, Witchfinder, because you're quite interesting. I'll just show you. This is the video. I'll just show you it quickly. Looks sort of up my street, doesn't it? I'll have to have a watch of that and see what I think. But let's see, how long is it? Oh, I got an ad. Yeah.
In 100 years,
18
we have killed hundreds of millions of people.
Oh, I think I've seen this. I think I've seen this one, yeah. Several people have put this one up. There's several people. All right, guys, that's Rumble out. Well, that's not Rumble out the way. I'm going to have to go to my... I'll just go to my emails. I'm not screen sharing because I don't want you to see my emails. And if you knew what was in them, neither would you. All right. Let's have a look what we've got here. Rumble. Let's put Rumble into search. Notifications from Rumble. Okay. Which finder has just posted? What's this? Oh, it's just posted this comment. Oh, this was at 12:20, which is not long ago. Healing. Currently subscribed. Previously commented. Oh, I said. Oh, hang on. This is. Oh, this is Terry Joyce. Oh, but that's on one of her videos. I actually posted a comment on Terry Joyce's video on Rumble. That's okay. Currently subscribed. Currently subscribed. Currently subscribed. Currently subscribed. Currently subscribed. Currently subscribed. I'm just going through Monday the 6th. Currently subscribed. Jordan Sather, Sticks Hexenhammer, Anne van der Steel. Just see if I got any. Just checking to see if I got any comments from on older videos, which I wouldn't necessarily see. Oh right, I've here a Rumble. Right, shadow banned by YouTube. It's on the 21st of February. Actually, did I reply to this? I actually replied to these. Actually, I've gone over the limit. Okay, no worries. That's Rumble done because I actually did reply. I gave a text reply and I also replied. On the video itself. Okay, guys. So now it's 1.5 minutes to go before the end of this hour. I think we're literally just gonna get into the. We're literally just gonna finish within the third hour. But I'm just gonna check. Videos just so comments, mentions, right. Okay, I'm just going to go to. I'm just going to go. I know. I'll just go to notifications. Here we go. Notifications. So refresh. Okay. Right, notifications. So I'm now going to go through any comments that might have appeared while I've been recording this particular video. Oh, my stopwatch has stopped. Oh no, it's not. It's 30 seconds to go. Or I'll just clear that and just leave it. Don't need that anymore. Okay, I'll just because I think we're basically at the end now. Okay, so let's go back down. All right, I'll just do it in reverse order. David Smith said. Very true. Pride and dignity. Exactly, David Smith. Yes, indeed. Pride and... wrong. Delete that. I'll just get the... I might as well put 4th hour. Because it is virtually the 4th hour. Here we go. It's going to be a very short 4th hour. Just a few minutes. And I'll put here... Pride and dignity indeed. Yeah, I'll put here... Thanks for your comment. So thanks very much, David Smith. Pride and dignity indeed. Colorist says, I think this is on his video actually. Yeah. Oh right, this is that's on his video. David Smith says, here we go. What's this? That's 2 weeks ago. Hang on. Hang on, channel comments. There's a channel comments here. 2 hours ago, Steve Mumling says claim. Okay. Why didn't this appear in notifications? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I have a dog. Not an extraordinary claim. Claim, I have a dog that can fly. That's an extraordinary claim. This would require extraordinary evidence to be proven true. Get it now, Ben? Yeah, no, Steve. I get it, but the thing is, having a dog, yes, that's that. What level of evidence would you have to provide if you say you've got a dog? Probably none. I would take your word for it because it's very common. If you have a dog that can fly, I wouldn't say that it requires extraordinary evidence. I would say it requires evidence that is proportional to the claim, which means I would go round there and I'd say, okay, here's a little runway your dog can take off, and I want to see it. All right. And I think, as Crafty Nihilist rightly says, you've said that at least 3 times before. Okay, so Steve, do you get it now? And I think that's the end, actually. I think that's it. That's it for all the That's it for all the comments. Okay, so that's the end of this particular video. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has commented. Thank you very much indeed, of course. Needless to say, without you making these comments, this video would not happen. It's simple as that. So, yeah, I know I get some idiots on there and I get some fools, and I don't suffer fools gladly, but even some of the rude ones are quite funny, and I've got a thick skin, I can deal with it. But as I said, if they start attacking other people, I will have something to say about that. Okay. But like I said, please keep these comments coming, and I look forward to another comments reply video. Comment reply 29 next time. As I said, if you don't make the comments, I can't make the video, so please do go ahead. My next video, I'm actually going to do, I've got another idea for another sort of watch-read party, except I think this is going to be a read party only, but I will let you know more about that, because I'll probably post the video. It'll be like an introduction, probably quite soon, maybe tomorrow or the next day, something like that. Anyway, thank you all of you for watching HPANWO TV. And of course, if there's another Grush video, another Grush update, I might have to cover that, but we'll see. Thanks for watching HPANWO TV, everybody. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order.